Everyone in the class lined up for their physical, each guy waiting for his turn as the teacher called names. Some tried to act chill, while others fidgeted with their phones or whispered to their friends, pretending not to care but definitely feeling a little nervous. The strength exam was up next. To make it through, all the guys ended up getting stimulants from the teacher. Everyone was caught up in the moment, but not the main guy. He knows those pricey energy boosters are way out of his budget. When the exam starts, everyone else is just scraping by. He had to crank out 30 pull-ups, but with those weird magic wrist weights strapped on. They give it everything they've got, but that's as far as they can go. When it was finally his turn, the teacher, annoyed that he didn't buy the pills, starts plotting to get back at him. The magic bracelets suddenly got way heavier, way more than before, but that doesn't stop the crowd from getting louder. The noise just keeps rising, and even though things are getting tense, no one backs down. Some people start recording on their phones, and others push in for a better look. It's like everyone's waiting to see what happens next, not wanting to miss out. TMC just doesn't bother. He cranked out 100 pull-ups in a row, leaving everyone else in the gym looking embarrassed. Nobody really gets how this guy, who always seemed down on his luck, managed to get ahead of everyone else. This is the story of how he became so strong, was stuck as an E-ranker, the lowest of the low, and his debts were piling up fast. The last thing he tried to turn his life around was something he never thought he'd actually do. He wanted to call up a demon, thinking it would be his shortcut to getting rich and powerful. But deals with the devil never go as planned. He finds out the hard way. Out of nowhere, a lightning bolt slams down from the sky and takes him out right then and there. 1 second he's standing, the next he's gone, just like that. A few moments later, he showed up, looking around to see what was going on. He wakes up with his head pounding, remembering there's still that big project waiting for him. He glances at himself in the mirror. He just stares at his own reflection, barely believing what he's seeing. He stares up at the huge white tree hanging in the sky, completely confused about what's happening. Right then, this strange creature shows up out of nowhere and tells him he did a good job calling it. The thing says he gets 3 wishes, no more, no less. For a second, he totally freaks out. It finally hits him. He's not in his own world anymore. At first, he figures he must be the main character in some kind of adventure. The floating book looks just like something out of those stories, popping up and offering 3 wishes, almost like he's got his own cheat code. He starts to think that 3 wishes just aren't enough. So instead of playing it safe, he goes for it and asks for 10 wishes right from the start, hoping he can get even more out of this wild situation. When the demonic book hears what's going on, it gets pretty pumped. It realizes right away that the guy in front of it isn't the one who called it here in the first place. The demon suddenly changed shape, revealing what it really looked like as soon as it noticed that someone new had taken over Joe's body. The guy stands frozen, completely thrown off by the monster in front of him. His legs start to shake, and before he knows it, he's actually peeing himself. He learns that he actually took over this body by getting rid of the person who used to live in it. He figures out pretty fast that he's landed in the wrong world. He bolts for the exit, not wasting a second. Even so, the demon just snaps his fingers, and the second he even thinks about breaking the contract, it's like his whole body just bursts into flames. It hurts so bad, like he's trapped in some never-ending nightmare, and there's no way out. His screams echoed down the street, catching everyone's attention. The demon decides he's had enough. Watching the boy struggle just proves what he already believed. This kid isn't worth his time. Right at that moment, the main guy, who's used to office life, suddenly thinks of something. He figures that if the demon's punishment actually stops him from doing his job, then he can't really be blamed for breaking the contract. When the demon hears a regular guy trying to bargain with him, he gets curious. Joe flashes a confident grin. He knows if he could have taken control by force, he would done it already, no hesitation. To him, this whole thing is just a way to prove how strong his will really is. He showed everyone he had what it takes. The demon bursts out laughing at what he just said. Apparently, no other human has ever even thought about trying to make a deal with the devil, and this guy is the first. Out of nowhere, he finds himself with a shot at signing the contract. The demon listens and nods, making a deal with him. If he can pull off at least one of the things he's always wanted, the demon promises to let him start over. It's a risky offer, but it's the only shot he's got. But then, the guy goes ahead and uses his first wish to just ask for 1,000 more wishes. The demon made it clear that he couldn't really say no, since it was either agree or end up dead. He realizes there's no way around it, so he lets his new boss know the job's finished and he's out. He signs the contract, knowing his own soul is at stake. The next morning, he finally makes it back to his apartment. He's a mess, hair sticking up everywhere and clothes all dirty, like he barely survived the night. He moves quickly, glancing around like he's expecting trouble, and anyone seeing him would probably wonder what happened to him. His new boss bilated on him as soon as the contract was done, but he just tells himself to deal with it, figuring he doesn't really have a choice anymore. As he steps into the apartment, he pauses for a second, taking in the usual mess scattered around. Shoes are kicked off by the door, and someone left their backpack in the hallway again. It's not exactly surprising, but it still makes him sigh a little. The place is quiet, almost too quiet, and he can't help but wonder if anyone else is home. He looks around and sees that the place is totally trashed, with nobody else around. Out of nowhere, nowhere, he finds a debt note with a bloody signature on it. He just stares at it, trying to figure out what kind of mess his family has gotten into this time. Just as he's trying to figure things out, a loud shout comes from behind. Before he can react, something hard, like a metal bat, slams into the back of his head. The rude intruder storms in, clearly annoyed that he's been getting ignored. He makes it obvious that he's not happy about being brushed off, his attitude showing just how irritated he is. His buddy steps in, stopping him from going overboard. He reminds him to be careful, pointing out that this kid might be more dangerous than he looks. After all, he's an oracle. He's totally thrown off and kind of ticked, trying to figure out who these guys even are. The guy doesn't waste any time. He just slams his foot right into the other guy's chest, acting like he's barely bothered. At the same time, he's looking down at him, making it clear he wants to know where his mom is, though he doesn't sound like he respects her much. The guy starts going off on him, making fun of his mom for always working herself to the bone just to cover his debts. He finds it kind of funny that she still doesn't get it. No matter what she does, her son's never going to change. He goes off, saying that neither he nor his mom deserves to even be around. Out of nowhere, Joe thinks back to when he was a kid, telling his mom he was tired of being a loser. He had a nightmare where his mom pushed herself so much at work that she collapsed and didn't make it. Even after waking up, he couldn't shake the uneasiness, worrying that something like that could really happen someday. He wondered what his life would look like if he never became an oracle. His mom just brushed off his concerns, acting like there was nothing for him to stress about. She let him know that no matter what happened, she'd always have his back. Hearing that gave him a little boost, like maybe he could actually believe in himself for once. Right now, he's totally pumped. Out of nowhere, he fires off a punch so fast it's almost hard to see, aiming it straight at the guy's face. As the jerk gets knocked back, his partner hears a loud bang from behind and quickly steps in, trying to stop him before things get out of hand. He watched as his own body shot straight by, moving way faster than he expected. Once the dust clears, his face is messed up way beyond what any doctor could fix. Not even surgery could help him now. The other two notice right away when something changes about him. They both pause, watching him closely, trying to figure out what's going on. He realized something important right then and there. At the same time, he shoots them a glare that could freeze anyone in their tracks. The look on his face makes it clear he's had enough, and he's not about to let them get away with running their mouths. The group looked at Brad, who was only an E rank, and figured it was time someone put him in his place. Let Jun know it was time for a serious wake-up call, and he looked like he might actually follow through by roughing him up, maybe even going so far as to break a leg or two. He realizes they're talking about his power. Looking at them, he figures they're probably stronger than him anyway. Jun brings his pipe down from above. Joe watches as it moves, everything seeming to slow down around him. He sees what's coming and quickly moves aside, dodging without breaking a sweat. He suddenly shows up behind the gorilla and lightly taps its face with his knee. Savage kick knocks the fool straight off his feet and sends him flying through the air. Right after that, his teammate comes at him from behind, still trying to figure out how someone ranked so low can move that fast. The man believes Joe doesn't notice him creeping up, so he gets ready to go for the ribs, planning to take him down hard. He ends up getting his own. He got taken out by a roundhouse kick instead. He finds himself thrown out, landing hard on the pavement. For a moment, he just sits there, trying to make sense of how things went downhill so fast. It's almost unreal getting kicked out like that, and he's left staring at the ground, wondering how he ended up here. The guy drops to his knees, clearly desperate. He tries to explain himself, saying he's just following orders from and was only there to pick up the loan money. He looks scared, hoping the boy will go easy on him. When he heard what the loan shark said, he just wanted the guy to back off. He told him to let his boss know that the money would come, but for now, he needed to relax and stay out of his business. The goons freeze for a second, their faces tense. Without looking back, they scramble toward the front door, moving as fast as they can without tripping over themselves. Right at that moment, Joe looks over at the demon, trying to see if he's still hanging around. Didn't expect the rookie to notice him. He could tell the guy picked up on his energy, which was pretty intense. The demon let him know he should appreciate the support he was getting. The guy gets all hyped up, calling the other dude boss and trying to get on his good side. He tells him that with his help, he doesn't have to worry about anyone messing with him. The demon gets annoyed. He can't stand the idea of some regular guy thinking he can handle power that's way too much for him. If the mortal even tries to use it past his limit, it could easily be the end of him. Couldn't believe what he just heard. He looked at the boss, trying to figure out how he was supposed to make his wishes come true if he wasn't strong enough. The whole thing just didn't add up in his head. Lets him know that rewards will help him get stronger, but also tells him to hold off on using his power for now. Hearing this, he can't help but feel let down. Couldn't get over how easily he handled his power. It was almost unreal. The thought crossed his mind, maybe Joe was meant to be his partner all along. After that, he turned to the boss, wanting to know what his second wish was supposed to be and what steps he should take now. The demon just brushes him off, acting like it's no big deal, and tells him to chill out and do whatever he feels like for now. After hearing the news, he lets out a sigh. There's a ton he still doesn't know about this new world, and it's starting to sink in that his new body isn't going to help him much. He grabs Joe's phone, hoping to figure out what Joe's everyday life was really like. He checks his phone and realizes there isn't a single message or missed call from his family. When he checks his sister's text, he just freezes. She messaged him earlier, telling him to get there right away because their mom was in a coma. Later, he found himself at the hospital. He swings the door open fast, his heart racing with nerves. He walks in and spots a girl, probably his sister, leaning forward by their mom's bed. She looks tense, her posture tight, like she's carrying a lot on her mind. He stands there for a second before it hits him. The room feels super awkward. Honestly, he gets why things are tense. He did just brush off his sister earlier, and now everyone's kind of on edge. He steps closer to her and checks out the woman lying in the bed. The woman standing there is actually his mom. He looks at her and can't get over how much she's changed since the last time he saw her. The image of her he remembers is nothing like this. He starts to wonder if Joe is the reason things turned out this way. He shows up late, looking guilty, and right away tries to make it up to his sister. He wants to know how their mom's holding up. She stands there with this annoyed smile, clearly not buying whatever story he's about to come up with. It's obvious she's expecting another one of his usual excuses, and she's already fed up. She runs through all the lame excuses he's used before about training and summoning demons. Out of nowhere, he snaps, not able to understand why he couldn't even show up for his mom, who ended up in a coma after working herself sick just to pay off his debts. He stops talking as soon as she mentions how their mom almost didn't make it, all because she couldn't pay the hospital bills after covering all the debt he kept piling up. That hits him hard, and he just sits there, taking it in. After letting it all out, she turns to him and makes it clear they've reached their limit. She hands him a card loaded with enough money to cover his expenses for the next 6 months. She tells him not to worry about their mom. She'll handle everything on her own from here. He starts sweating, looking confused and unsure about what's going on. His sister just looks at him, totally calm, and lets him know she doesn't care about him anymore, like he's not even part of her life. Outside, could tell that something was off with him. He picked up on the way the guy was acting, and wanted to know why what the human girl said got to him so badly. The demon tries to explain he wasn't the one responsible, but memories come rushing back. Joe's sister had reminded him of his younger self, back when he messed up the exact same way. It hits him, making him think about all the times he'd failed before. His boss just laughs it off, not really bothered, and reminds Joe to stick to his plan. After hearing that, Joe wonders if getting stronger would actually fix everything he's dealing with. The demon nods, letting him know that everyone will leave if he can show he's strong enough. He's all in now, ready to kick off his training journey. Meanwhile, at a nightclub, the music was thumping and guys were hanging out in small groups, trying to have a good time. Some were glued to their phones, scrolling through their feeds or snapping pictures of the scene. Others were just chilling, watching people dance or waiting for something interesting to happen. The place was buzzing with energy, everyone caught up in the moment. The debt collector's boss wanted his team to hustle, since his clients hated waiting. But then his secretary brought him some unexpected news. A student had actually taken down 3 of their guys. When he hears that, the gangster thinks back to when his guys tried to get the money early. All that did was mess up his rep. Now people look at him differently, and he knows it. His secretary lets them know that punishment is coming, but he also points out how big of a deal this is. The student didn't just pick a fight with anyone. He went up against guys who were much stronger than him and still managed to take them down. The boss stops what he's doing and looks over, clearly focused now. He reaches over and snatches up the report that has Joe's info on it. He figures the kid's hiding how strong he really is. There's no way someone at level 2 should be able to beat a level 3, no matter how good they are. At the end of it all, he told his secretary to watch what the boy was up to. The story moves over to the main guy, out for his morning jog. His neighbor, who always seemed pretty chill, came by and mentioned he could hook him up with some supplements for a decent price. He lets the old man know he's leaving for now, planning to return sometime later. The man watched the guy bounce around, full of energy. He couldn't help but wonder if the dude had a new girlfriend or something, because nobody gets that hyped for no reason. Joe's been spending his days getting used to his new body, hitting the gym hard, and picking up whatever info he can since he left the hospital. He finds out that people with powers are known as oracles. It hits him that he's landed himself in serious debt, all because the stuff he needs to get stronger is insanely expensive. He doesn't really know what the limit is yet, but after just a few days of working out and taking those boosters, he's already way stronger than before. While he's lost in thought, his phone buzzes with a call. He grabs his phone, and right away, someone on the other end starts yelling, reminding him that he totally spaced on coming back like the teacher told him to. When he hears that, it hits him. He totally left them hanging and never replied. The next day at school, he finds out there are 6 ranks, going from a down to E. To move up to the next rank, you have to hit the top level in your current one, and that takes a crazy amount of work. The world's split into 5 5 different levels because of how big the differences are between people. Guys like him, the E-ranks, and the regular folks always end up stuck in the outer zones. The stronger ones, those D-rank and above, get to go further inside where things are supposed to be better. Once he figured out he was stuck at the lowest level, he made up his mind to get stronger fast. He wanted to climb up to the middle ranks as soon as possible. Out of nowhere, a Neanderthal comes up behind him and smacks him with something heavy. Booger stands right in front of him and just laughs, not holding back at all. His friend laughs, saying he looks like he could barely handle himself, even though they're both just starting out as level 1 oracles. When he hears that, he just gets irritated, wondering how guys like them are still around. Just then, the teacher walks into the classroom. Outside, he stretches his arms and thinks about how school's been treating him pretty well lately. Right at that moment, he hears someone calling to him from behind. A few minutes later, Booger Guy notices Joe getting into it with the toughest guy in their class. While Booger Guy can't believe what he's seeing, Joe's friend just watches with a straight face. He's seen Joe throw hands plenty of times before. The bully looked at him, annoyed that he was acting more confident lately, all because he did well on some tests. It seemed like the bully didn't like seeing him stand a little taller or getting attention for his good grades. He thinks the real worth of an oracle is all about strength, but with his level 1 stats, he's basically useless. Bro hears what the bully says and just points out that the guy's also stuck at level 1, not any better than the rest. The bully gets really angry and swings a wild punch, just grabs the guy's fist with one hand like it's nothing and twists his wrist with the other. He doesn't seem bothered at all, just looking at the guy like he's wondering if he's finally done talking. The angry guy just stands there, surprised that he's actually being pushed back by Joe. He starts to think, did Joe get taller or something? This wasn't how things usually went, and it's messing with his head. Joe didn't hold back. He threw the guy's own words right back at him, making it clear that, in this place, strength really was all that mattered. He didn't even bother acting tough. He just calmly asked if it was cool to mess the guy up. The guy starts sweating, convinced he's about to get roughed up. His mind races with worst-case scenarios, and he can't help but brace himself, hoping things don't go south. Out of nowhere, the coach shows up and looks pretty mad at him for messing around during class. The coach stands there, clearly annoyed, eyeing him as if he's already expecting some kind of drama the second he walks back in. He tries to look as harmless as possible, hoping everyone believes he was just messing around. The bully pulls his hand away, clearly not wanting to be held back. He's annoyed and makes it obvious that he doesn't want anyone stopping him. Once things settled down, the coach gave our guy a final warning and told everyone to get in line for the test. Not long after, the students crowd around the pull-up bar. Coach starts talking, trying to fire everyone up for the tournament coming up against other schools. He tells them that doing well isn't just about making the school look good. It could actually help them get noticed by top academies too. The guys listen in, some more pumped than others, thinking about what a win could mean for their future. By the time he finished talking, he didn't waste any time before pushing his so-called miracle supplements, acting just like one of those guys you see online who's always trying to sell you something sketchy. The challenge kicks off with the bully cranking out 50 pull-ups straight. Sue doesn't look impressed at all. To him, this whole thing just seems like one of those quick-tick trends, not something that should be taken seriously. Right then, someone calls out to him, checking if he's okay. The class rep had been pretty anxious lately. She noticed he hadn't replied to any of her messages for days, and it really got to her. It wasn't like him to just disappear like that, so she'd been checking her phone more than usual, hoping for some kind of update. He tries to play it cool, saying the girl was only interested because she was curious about him. But the guy lets her know it's all good and nothing actually went down. She changes the topic and wants to know why Joe won't buy the teacher's weird supplements. Joe just says he can't afford it. She wants to let him know what could happen if he doesn't buy it, hoping he'll think twice before just walking away. Before she can finish, someone calls her name. He gives her a quick nod, hoping things go well for her, and watches as she heads off. She gets through 25 pull-ups before her arms give out, but the coach suddenly remembers buying 2 bottles from the guy. Out of nowhere, she pushes her score up to 35. It finally hits him. This is why every student actually bought all that overpriced stuff. They didn't want to take any chances and end up expelled. Joe finally moves up. Now it's his turn at the bar. The coach squinted, clearly knowing that our guy hadn't bought even 1 bottle. He grins in a way that makes it clear he's up to no good. He's already made up his mind. This guy is about to pay for not buying his low-quality merch, and everyone else is about to see what happens when you cross him. Joe checked out the pull-up bar and the wrist guards, noticing they seemed pretty normal at first. Still, he couldn't shake the thought that there had to be something more going on with them. As soon as he grabs the bar, his palms start to sweat. His eyes suddenly go wide, and he freezes for a second, not sure what to do. His arms start to feel way heavier out of nowhere, and he soon realizes it's because the crystals on his wrist guards are weighing him down. Even with the extra load, he won't back down. He figured out that the crystals couldn't handle too much weight. He keeps going, knocking out rep after rep without breaking a sweat. All the other students just stare, their eyes wide, not really sure what to make of what they're seeing. Everyone just stands there, stunned that the guy everyone thought was weak is crushing it without breaking a sweat. When Joe hits over 100 reps, the whole group can't believe it. Some start shouting, convinced he's definitely not just some regular dude. He's got to be at least second tier. As soon as he drops down from the bar, a bunch of people rush over to him. Everyone's talking at once, tossing questions his way and crowding around like he's just done something wild. The coach just stands there, completely still, thinking about whether the kid might have been using something to boost his skills. He starts to get nervous when it hits him that students might stop buying his questionable supplements. At that moment, he flashes a sly grin, already thinking up some trouble for the hero. The story jumps over to the principal now. He's pacing around, practically steaming as he talks on the phone, clearly upset about some event getting canceled again. He's frustrated, saying the school barely has enough cash to keep going, and most of their students aren't exactly top level. The guy he's talking to doesn't sugarcoat it. He just says the whole system is after the best oracles, so all the funding is going to the top schools instead. He snapped his phone closed, his hand moving fast, like he just wanted the conversation to end right there. The principal puts his hand over his face, frustrated as he figures out the school doesn't even have enough money to make one top-level oracle. He spots a black crystal sitting inside a glass case while he's busy stressing about ways to save the school. Before he can finish his thought, Coach's voice interrupts from outside the office. The coach walks in with a confident stride and sets down a list of names, making it clear he believes these guys are going to be the next top oracles. The principal looks over the paper and quickly notices that all the names on the list are just average players, not impressive at all. Still, the coach is trying to hype them up like they're something special. The coach looks around at the students, hinting that someone doesn't belong. The principal gets curious and wants to know who the coach is talking about. The story cuts back to Joe as he heads down the hallway toward the principal's office. The demon keeps hovering at his side, not really helping. The cursed book seems curious about what kind of trouble Joe's in now, but Joe doesn't say anything. He just keeps walking, looking straight ahead. He stands outside the door, thinking about all the stories he's heard about the headmaster. The guy's got a bad rep, and he can't help but hope this meeting doesn't go sideways. Just as he's about to grab the handle, suddenly fire flared up right in front of him. He didn't see it coming at all. The demon's face lit up, actually looking pretty excited, like he'd been waiting for this wish to kick in. He tells Joe to hurry up and find the thing, but Joe just grumbles about the timing, like he really wishes this could have waited until later. Just as he's lost in his head, the principal suddenly steps in, snapping him back to reality. The principal doesn't mess around, making it clear he needs to quit stalling and head inside. Joe walks in, trying to keep things cool. He wonders what the headmaster wants and hopes it's nothing serious. The man flips through the student's school file, barely glancing up before tossing out a question about what it really takes to become an oracle. He doesn't bother waiting for an answer and moves right along. The principal didn't even pause before explaining that, at the end of the day, it was all about the money. He looked right at Joe and told him, straight up, to quit now before things got any worse for him. His face goes pale. The principal keeps talking, saying that making an oracle costs way too much. He points out that Joe doesn't have much money and probably won't make it here for long. He thinks it's smarter to let go of the students who aren't doing well, even if that means giving their money back. Joe just stands there for a moment, trying to figure out what's going on. At the same time, the demon started moving out. His eyes go wide when it hits him. The crystal is what they've been searching for all along. Without wasting a second, he points it out, urging the hero to pick it up. He leans in close to the cursed book, hoping it could just reach out and take what he wants. But the demon's voice cuts through his thoughts, making it clear that it can't do things on its own. It needs someone to actually make a move. Joe stops for a moment, deep in thought. He knows he needs to make it to the mid-city zone, and getting kicked out now isn't an option. No matter what happens, he can't let himself get expelled here. He takes a deep breath, and remembers that no one from this academy has ever made it past E2 level. That's the main reason why students here are seen as such a big deal. The guy looks over at the demon and wonders if he gets to pick his own reward for finishing this mission. Right then, the demon finally gets what Joe's up to. Before he even gets a word out, Joe jumps in and says straight up that he wants the borrow power skill, loses it, raising his voice to get his point across. He wants to make sure the guy understands just how risky and wild that decision is. But the guy's already made up his mind. He stands his ground and throws back that, even if he gets kicked out, it's worth a shot. If the demon doesn't get what he wants, his wish might never happen. He tells the cursed book it has to trust him. Doesn't really want to, but he finally gives in. He makes it clear that whatever goes down next isn't on him. A bright panel popped up right in front of Joe, lighting up the space around him. It asked if he wanted to pick up the borrow power skill. Joe didn't even stop to think. He just went for it and accepted right away. Right then, the principal steps in, cutting off whatever was running through his mind. The principal wants to know if he has anything left to say before things move forward. He stands his ground, letting everyone know he wants the principal to check his skills again before making any decisions. The principal looked down, clearly not expecting much from the request. Even though he didn't seem too into it, he still reached out his hand, going along with it anyway. When he comes into contact with Joe, he realizes Joe is actually stronger than what he'd read about before. Even with that, Joe's strength isn't enough to hang on. Joe shuts his eyes, knowing he's down to his last shot. He focuses hard, pulling in as much star energy as he can, hoping it'll be enough. He suddenly starts giving off a bright, powerful energy. The principal stared, completely caught off guard. The demon didn't see it coming. He had no idea the kid's energy would actually get stronger than what he'd given him. The principal stumbles backward, caught off guard in trying to figure out what just happened. He realizes that Joe actually made it to the 4th level just now, breaking through when nobody expected it. The man clenched his jaw and pulled himself together. He keeps his cool and points at the guy, letting him know he's expected to join the school tournament coming up. Joe blinks, caught off guard. He wonders what made the headmaster change his tone so fast. Once things calm down, he figures out that the guy most likely wants to pull Lee out of the garbage and parade him around at school, just to look good in front of the education department. The principal comes clean about his plan to get rid of students who weren't doing well, just to keep things running at the school. He admits it wasn't fair that Joe got caught up in all of it, and says he's sorry for dragging him into the situation. As a reward, he gives him a full scholarship and also hooks him up with 6 bottles of supplements every week. He gets right to the point and tells the main guy that he has to step up for the school. Everyone's counting on him, and how things go next could decide what happens to the whole academy. He could tell the guy was really desperate, so he decided to just go for it and asked if he could have the black crystal sitting up on the shelf. The principal talks about the black star crystal statue in the room. He says the last head of the school brought it back, and now it stands as a symbol of what the school believes in. He lets out a sigh, realizing that if the school falls apart, its symbol won't matter anymore. So he decides to give it up. The hero stands tall, looking sure of himself. He knows what's at stake and isn't backing down. Deep down, he's made up his mind to put everything he's got into the tournament, determined to come out on top. The principal suddenly changed the subject and wanted to know how Joe got so strong. Joe just acted like it was no big deal, brushing it off and pretending he'd always had that kind of power, but kept it under wraps until now. The headmaster almost lost his cool when he realized someone was hiding their real level. He thought it was the kind of sneaky trick only the best could pull off. Deciding to keep it to himself, he promised not to tell anyone what he'd just found out. Right then, a woman stepped into the office. The principal looked at her and told her to take Joe over to the elite class. A little later, she lets him know that the whole 2nd floor is just for the top people. She changes the topic and casually brings up the principal, trying to see if Joe will share anything about their connection. Joe doesn't really answer and just moves on, not offering any details. Coach bursts into the room, clearly in a rush. He looks frustrated and a little out of breath. He lets everyone know he tried talking to the headmaster, hoping to change his mind, but it didn't work. The teacher interrupts him and quickly explains what's really going on. Joe's not getting kicked out of school. Instead, he's being bumped up to the elite class. The coach hears that the principal is searching for him, and his face goes pale. Later that night, he heads back to his cramped apartment, moving slow and tired. He drops onto the bed, tired and frustrated, thinking about how someone like him, without much money, could possibly hit level 4 so fast. Just as he's lost in his thoughts, the demon jumps in, making sure he doesn't forget about what needs to be done. Points out that his power won't fool people forever, and honestly, he already saw that coming. Even so, he's not too stressed. He's got free supplements and managed to avoid getting kicked out of school, so for now, things are actually going pretty well for him. He checks his phone and it hits him. He still has a huge pile of debt to deal with. He has to come up with a way to make money, and he needs to do it quick. The next day, he headed back to school. He looks even more down than before. He glances around at the place, noticing the dust, and how everything seems old and worn out. He can't help but think he's ended up somewhere pretty rough. Out of nowhere, someone calls his name, snapping him out of his thoughts. A guy stands far away and lifts his hand, signaling to get someone's attention. He waved his friend over, grinning from ear to ear. They start talking, and the man says sorry for not finding him earlier since he's always caught up with school stuff. This guy says his name is Teacher. Joe looks at him and quickly wonders if he's actually the only teacher in the place. Scratched his head, thinking about how the school hadn't been doing well lately. Out of everyone, he was the only guy put in the advanced class, which honestly felt a bit awkward. The innermost part of the place is where the actual training goes down, so the outer halls are pretty much empty and just sitting there unused. He pushed the door open. The teacher tries to calm Joe down, telling him there's nothing to stress about. The place still has all the best stuff, and he says there's no way anyone's going to get bored here. The hero stands there, eyes wide, completely caught off guard. He can't help but just watch, frozen in place, as everything unfolds in front of him. Inside, the place looks nothing like what you'd expect from seeing it outside. It's seriously impressive, set up just like a top gym you'd see online. The teacher lets him know that everyone's busy with self-training. Then, the teacher offers to introduce him to the group. He looks around and notices the place is like a high-end gym, packed with students who all seem pumped up and ready to go. He notices some people sneaking quick looks at him when they think he's not paying attention. The teacher waved for everyone to come over so he could introduce the new kid. He gives a quick bow and nods at them, showing respect the way he was taught. A red-haired guy hanging out at the back doesn't waste any time and causes trouble right away. He stood there with his arms crossed and a smug look on his face. He started teasing Joe, hinting that everyone knew Joe only got in because he had some pull with the right people. The teacher loses his cool with, raising his voice and telling him to get it together. He makes it clear to everyone that Joe didn't just land here by luck. He got transferred because he's got real talent. The guy clearly doesn't believe Joe. He gives him a sharp look, almost like he's ready to pounce, and suddenly dares Joe to a fight, catching everyone off guard. The students' faces brighten up as soon as they realize there's going to be a duel. It's been a long time since anything this exciting happened at school, so everyone starts talking about it right away. Whispers and guesses about who might win start flying around, and some even pull out their phones, probably thinking about posting something online. In the back row, a guy looks around, confused about what's happening. Nearby, a girl with pink hair fills him in, letting him know that a fight is about to start. Hearing that, the guy gets curious and wants to know more about this transfer student everyone's talking about. Joe's teacher tried to talk him out of the challenge, but Joe just went for it right away. He stays chill about the whole thing, saying he's good with the match as long as nobody's actually trying to hurt anyone for real. Over in the school office, the principal looks like he's about to lose it, stressing out and trying to find out if the new kid is already causing trouble. The teacher calls to say that the boy went ahead and took on's challenge. Back at the fight, both sides stand their ground, staring each other down while building up their aura. Neither team looks like they're ready to give up anytime soon. The principal thinks it's a bit strange, but he assumes the kid probably just wants to see how strong he is right now. So, he gives the okay for the duel and lets them use the arena. A little while later, both students waited behind their own desks while the teacher explained the rules. Nobody else was allowed to get involved, and both students had to compete at the same skill level. Can't quite wrap his head around the fact that Joe is actually an E-rank oracle too. As the teacher finishes giving the instructions, he makes sure everyone remembers not to hit any vital spots, no exceptions. Both guys slowly circled each other, keeping their eyes locked. The teacher stepped in, laying down the rules. Nothing too dangerous, and no getting back at each other later, no matter what happened. If someone landed a solid hit to the face or one of them gave up, the match would be over right away. Their teacher lifts his hand, letting everyone know it's time to begin. Wenhao wants to get it over with, so he rushes straight in. He moves in fast, not holding back, and goes right for the guy's neck. He stays totally calm and grabs the other guy's arm, throwing him off balance right away. The redhead doesn't waste a second and goes for another swing. It hits him that this guy could actually be serious competition. Goes all out throwing punch after punch, but Joe stays cool. He dodges every hit like he's done it a million times, barely breaking a sweat. He felt stuck and annoyed, switches up his approach, and goes for a quick kick. His leg twists while he's still in the air. The redhead jumps into action, going for his go-to move, the kick. Joe throws up his arm just in time, blocking the hit. The redhead sees this and flashes a confident grin, clearly thinking he's already won. From out of nowhere, he moves fast and hits with a quick kick, aiming right for his neck. The redhead steadies himself, still trying to wrap his head around how this guy even knows martial arts. Wen stumbles but manages to steady himself just in time. Right now, he's only got one thing on his mind, protecting his face no matter what. Right as he turns around, Joe gives him a quick, easy punch on the nose with his fist. He smirked, wondering if this counted as a win for him. Just stood there completely still. He couldn't wrap his head around what had just happened. It was like his brain hit pause, and for a second he just stared ahead, not sure how to react. The whole arena quiets down for a moment. Everyone waits, holding their breath, until teacher finally steps up and announces that Joe has won. Stared in disbelief, realizing he'd actually lost to someone. Everyone is caught off guard by how the match turned out. They can't believe how strong he is, and it's starting to sink in for everyone watching. He thought the match was over way too fast, but at least he picked up something useful from it. Afterward, he looked over at Wen, wanting to know if he had anything to say now. The coach watches the match, pretty stunned. Wen, who's been through serious training and always stood out as one of the best, just lost to a newcomer who barely made it into the elite class. The coach starts to realize there's something special about this kid, like he's got some real natural skill that's hard to find. Suddenly, it makes sense why the principal wanted him to keep an eye on this guy and treat him differently from the start. Out of nowhere, the principal shows up and gives the guy some recognition. He motioned for him to come along, wanting to talk about something that really mattered. The pink-haired girl freezes, eyes wide as she takes in what's happening. She wasn't expecting this at all, and it completely catches her off guard. The yellow-haired guy let everyone know they could really use someone like him and his tough crew. The principal wanted to know if the elite class was living up to its hype. The guy just shrugged, thinking the class wasn't anything out of the ordinary except the students there were way too into everything. The principal didn't seem surprised. He just told him that's how things go. People always notice the strong ones, and he'd get used to it eventually. The principal tells him to keep his head in the game and stick with his training. The school's got his back, doing whatever they can to help out. After hearing that, the guy starts to think the principal actually believes in him now. He starts thinking about how students could make some quick cash and decides to ask if there are any good ways to do it. He suggests that he should just keep working hard at training, since that could lead to making more money later on. Plus, the school could step in to help out with money if things are tough at home. But that's not really what's going on for him. He knows he'll have to figure something else out on his own now. At the gym, he keeps thinking he needs to watch out, since the school doesn't mess around when it comes to student loans. He starts to wonder if there's a way to pick up some extra cash somewhere. Out of nowhere, the guy with yellow hair steps up in front of him, looking pretty chill after the match. He nods at him, probably impressed by how things went. The yellow-haired dude wants to know who he is, curious, sizing him up. Not backing down, the boy shoots the same question right back, both of them kind of checking each other out, not sure what to expect next. At the same time, the girl points out to Shen that he's not acting very polite. Sue admits to the guy that he can be a bit much sometimes. She lets him know her name is Sue and points out that the ache in her side is actually Shen. She let him know that both of them were older students, ready to help out if he ever got lost or didn't get something. The annoying guy suddenly acted like they were a team now, declaring himself the leader. He made it clear he'd be the one looking out for him from here on out, whether he liked it or not. The guy wanted to know more about the fighting move the boy used on Wen, but the boy just shrugged like he had no clue what technique they were talking about. He really didn't seem to know anything special about it. The leader's eyes go wide when he hears that the move was just a reflex for the guy. It's clear he didn't expect that answer, and for a second he just stares, probably replaying the moment in his head. There's a bit of disbelief there, like he can't quite process how someone could pull off something like that without even thinking. He thinks S probably going to lose his cool when he finds out, but jumps in fast, already planning to clear things up with him. She goes on to talk about combat techniques, calling them special moves that people pick up from scrolls or memory stones. The more someone trains and gets used to these moves, the better and stronger they get at using them. There are all sorts of techniques out there, and the top fighters usually mix a bunch of them together to make their own fighting style. Shen explained to him that had pulled off a D-rank move during the match, something called the hook wind kick. When he hears that, he figures that's probably why he couldn't block the kick earlier. Right away, he starts thinking how much better his chances would be if he could learn that move. Curious, he wonders if techniques like that are hard to find. The leader starts talking about how rare these techniques are, and it all depends on their rank. At school, everyone just learns the basic stuff. If anyone wants to get their hands on the stronger techniques, there are only two ways, either pay up or have someone share it with them. But buying these skills isn't easy. They're crazy expensive. Even the simplest D-rank move can go for something like $500,000 these days. Both guys started bragging, letting him know they'd learned a combat move. They looked pretty confident, almost daring him to ask for a demonstration. Joe looks at the two of them and figures they've got to have a ton of money, since tossing around cash like that doesn't even seem to bother them. Out of nowhere, it hits him. He could just ask them how to make some quick cash. He wants to find a quick way to make some cash, but he's clear that he's not interested in doing anything shady or breaking the law. Robbing a bank is totally out of the question for him. Let him know there was really just one choice left, the district. Sue shuts him down right away, not letting him say anything else. He remembers hearing stories about that place. People say all kinds of things go down there. Still, the school has a rule. Students aren't allowed anywhere near that district. After that, the leader wants to know how much cash the guy needs to pull off the technique. The guy doesn't hesitate. He tells him it's around $300,000. They both grab their phones and check their accounts right away, only to see zero balance. No money left at all. After school, he figured he'd head over to the district anyway. Money was tight, and he needed to find some quick cash, even if it meant going somewhere he wasn't too sure about. He gets to the district just as the sun starts to set, sneakers hitting the pavement while the city slowly lights up. The place is busy, with people everywhere doing doing their thing, some heading home, others just hanging out. He glances around, taking it all in and tries to shake off the nerves. Every step feels heavier than the last, but he keeps moving, determined to see what's waiting for him ahead. He pulled out his phone and started checking the maps. He realizes it's actually pretty close to where he lives. Nobody would guess he's a student now, since he's ditched his uniform. He even goes up to the boss and casually asks what he thinks about the neighborhood. He waits, but no one answers him. He remembered hearing that the outer zones didn't have any tough fighters around. His own power matched up with someone pretty high up, a level 4 oracle. With that kind of strength, he figured handling whoever showed up out here wouldn't be a problem. He figured that if things went downhill, he could always make a quick escape without getting caught. He glanced around and noticed how empty everything looked. The place seemed totally abandoned. Nothing but dust and silence. He started to doubt if this was really the miracle zone everyone talked about online. He notices some faded footprints nearby, and they guide him to a secret path he hadn't seen before. After he passes away, he finally makes it to the miracle zone. He moved slowly along the path, keeping an eye out for anything that might trip him up. Inside the miracle zone, he takes a look around and notices how messy everything is. Dirt covers the ground, and the place looks like it hasn't been cleaned in ages. It's not exactly what he expected, and it makes him wonder what really goes on here. All the sketchy stuff going on. He figures people stay quiet about this place since there aren't any rules, and you can do whatever it takes to make money. After seeing how things work here, he starts to think there's actually a real chance for him to earn enough and finally pay off what he owes. He turned around and called out to the guys tailing him, wanting to know how long they planned on sticking around. One of the guys in the group noticed how alert he was and admitted he'd been waiting for him to let his guard down. But now, the plan had shifted. In front of everyone, he was ready to take him on and show everyone who was boss. He's seen guys like this before, rich kids sneaking into the district, thinking nobody will notice. But they always stand out, and it doesn't take long before they end up as easy targets for people around here. Joe can't help but think he's pretty clueless sometimes, especially since he's totally out of cash. The goon let him know he was some kind of oracle, making it clear that running wasn't going to help. He stood there, basically laying down the rules. If the guy wanted to make it out okay, he needed to listen up and hand over everything in his pockets. When he heard that, the guy couldn't help but think how rude the other person was being. With one quick hit, he drops the leader to the ground, completely out. The other two look annoyed at him. He took down the leader just because the guy let his guard down. Both of them charge at him, moving fast and ready to take him down. Out of nowhere, a stack of wooden crates crashes down on top of them, stopping them in their tracks. A mysterious girl steps in and suddenly grabs his hand, catching him off guard. She tells him to follow her. They both take off, not looking back, wanting to get as far away from that place as possible. He finds a spot that's tucked away, where no one's likely to find him. Joe gave her a quick thanks, but honestly, he just found the whole thing annoying. He just knocked out those two guys and was about to question them, so her stepping in kind of messed up his plan. The girl walks up like she already recognizes him. She looks at him, curious, and wants to know why he's there. Right after she blurts it out, it hits her. She's supposed to be keeping a low profile. Now she's scrambling inside, trying to act normal. He's looking at her, kind of confused, like he's trying to figure out if he's seen her before. She just sticks to her story, not giving anything away. She quickly switched the subject and pointed out that she had just seen his name on his collar. He spotted the name tag and paused for a second. He quickly takes it off. He figures it's probably for the best that the girl doesn't recognize him, since he never noticed his own name was written on his collar the whole time. He feels grateful that she pointed it out. Meanwhile, she's just relieved she didn't let slip who she really is. She told him he should keep his info safe since the place wasn't exactly friendly, then said she'd help him leave. Still, he shook his head. He had his own reasons for staying. He needed to earn some cash, and walking away now just wasn't an option for him. He figures it's best to just leave. If she finds out he's still a student, things could get messy for him. After Joe walks away, she's pretty sure she recognizes him. It's weird to see a student hanging out in the miracle zone, and she can't help but wonder what he's even doing there. When she reached out and touched him, something felt off to her. It was enough to make her think he might already be an oracle. At the same time, the guy grabs a mask to cover his face. He keeps his face covered, not wanting anyone to recognize him, especially since he still hasn't figured out how to make any cash yet. A stranger walks up to him and says he's the tour guide for the area. Now he's got someone who can actually clear things up for him. All those questions that have been on his mind, he can finally get some real answers. When he hears that, the guy gets curious and wants to know if the other dude knows any spots where he can score some fast cash. The guide looks pretty pleased with himself, thinking he just got another person to join the group. He flashes a proud grin and signals for the guy to come along. He brings Joe over to this fighting arena. He wonders if this place is actually some kind of underground fight club. The guide just nods, confirming it. Turns out this is where people come when they want to make quick money. He lets everyone know that whoever wins today isn't just getting the prize money. They're also taking home cash from all the bets people have placed. He points out that even oracles show up to these fights, so things can get pretty intense with a lot to win or lose. He checks out the fight happening in front of him and starts to believe he could actually come out on top. The guide looks at the guy and wonders if he wants in, hinting that he can hook him up with some betting chips. The guy thinks about it and decides he's going to go for the prize money, no matter what. The girl, still a mystery to everyone, walks into the fight club after him. She starts scanning the room, trying to spot where he went. Out of nowhere, she spots him right there in the ring. She can't help but wonder what's going on and why he's there. The not-so-good-looking dude started showing off in front of Joe, bragging about how he was a ranked fighter. He stood there, kind of puffed up, trying to make himself look important. He takes one solid swing and drops the guy right away. Most of the people watching started to lose interest. Every match ended the same way, one punch, then it was over. The fighters barely lasted a second in the ring, so nobody felt any excitement building up. It just wasn't much fun to watch. He figures it's better to finish things quickly. He takes down the next two fighters one after another, barely slowing down. Watching these fights, the club boss stands there totally thrown off. He'd only let the guy fight because he seemed like an easy win, someone who wouldn't last long in the ring. Now, seeing how things are turning out, the boss can't figure out what just happened. The lackey lets him know that after seeing all the matches, every single fighter has given up. Now, people watching are getting annoyed and want their money back, since it really seems like all the fights were just fake. Right away, the boss decides he's not just going to hand over all that prize money. He turns to his crew, signaling that they need to set up another match, making it clear the guy won't be walking out so easily. At the same time, he takes down his final opponent and he looks over at the announcer, hoping this is finally the moment to get his prize money. But instead, the announcer points out how hyped everyone in the crowd is after the last matches. Turns out they've set up a special match just for this. He starts to suspect they never meant to give out the cash prize at all. Meanwhile, the lackeys roll out a trolley. A monster is stuck to it. The announcer reveals that the special match is set against this guy everyone calls the Freak. When Joe catches sight of him, he can't help but be caught off guard. The NPCs unclip him from the trolley, and he drops to the floor, landing hard and not moving at all. They rush out of the ring and make sure to lock it up tight. He just stands there, not sure what to do next. Everything that's happening around him is running through his mind, and he's trying to figure it all out. Suddenly, the guy jolts awake from his sleep, his heart pounding. He had a look on his face that made everyone around tense up. There was a heavyset guy standing with his girlfriend in the crowd. He tried to act all tough, telling her he could take down the monster with just one punch. But deep down, after getting a good look at that huge beast, he was barely keeping it together and nearly lost it from fear. The mysterious girl stood there, staring at the strange thing in front of her. She couldn't figure out how something like that even existed in this place. She realizes Joe's in over his head and could really use her help. She has the skills to get him out of trouble, but if she steps in now, everyone will find out what she can really do, and all her secrets will be out in the open. At the same time, he couldn't help but think it was pretty unlucky that the boss wasn't around right now. Taking down this monster on his own was definitely not going to be easy. He looks into the monster's eyes and instantly knows he's in trouble. It's like staring down something that sees him as an easy target. Every part of him wants to bolt, warning him that this thing is bad news and he needs to leave now. The Freak charges straight at him, aiming to take him out, but he reacts just in time, dodging the hit without even thinking. He would died if he hadn't done that. After all that, he realizes he can't just mess around anymore. If he wants to make it through, he needs to step it up and really focus. The monster backs him up until he's trapped in a corner, nowhere left to go. Joe looks at the situation and realizes he needs to wrap things up fast. He taps into borrowed strength, pushing himself to level up. He slams his fist down and knocks the guy right into the dirt. The monster just stays put, looking like it's done fighting. He figures the whole thing is over now, but out of nowhere, it goes in for another attack. He just manages to dodge it, his heart pounding as he scrambles to keep his distance. He's surprised when his strongest move doesn't even scratch it. Realizing he's outmatched up close, he backs off fast, knowing he can't win if he sticks around. Guys are running all over the arena, darting from one side to the other. The boy dodges the monster's swings, staying light on his feet. He glances around, searching for something, anything, he could grab to fight back. He grabs the Freak's claw and snaps it clean, not even hesitating. He grabs it and stabs the monster in the neck, finishing it off fast. The cut barely scratched the surface. It wasn't enough to take the thing down. Now he finally had a real chance to fight. He realized he was way stronger than the monster. If he could just get close again, he knew he could take it down. Joe thinks for a second, then rushes ahead. Suddenly the monster lets out some weird gas, but it's just steam, nothing dangerous. The monster lets the fog roll in, using it to mess with everyone's focus. The guy suddenly gets jumped from all directions. He stands there squinting into the thick fog, but everything ahead is just a blank gray wall. Nothing is visible, no shapes, no lights, just endless mist stretching out in every direction. The monster isn't wasting any time. It goes after him now, trying to hurt him before he gets the upper hand. It's clear the thing's scared he'll take it out the second it tries anything. He knows he can't let this happen, because if time runs out, it's game over for him. He gets serious about tracking it down, making sure to pay attention to everything. Every sound, every movement, even the smallest details. This time, he's determined to find out exactly where it's hiding and finish things for good. He locks in and focuses right away. He spots exactly where the monster is hiding. After that, he grabs its hand. He swings and slices it right off. This was the moment he'd been waiting for. He saw the opening and didn't waste a second. He went right for it, ready to finish things once and for all. But just like that, time ran out. His chest tightens, and it's like something heavy is pressing down on him. At the same time, the monster spots an opening and quickly knocks the weapon out of his hands. The creature suddenly whips out its tongue, aiming to take down its target in one quick strike. He was still hanging in there, not ready to call it quits just yet. He pushes himself harder than ever before, determined not to hold back. He pulls himself together, reaching out and grabbing the monster by its tongue. He lifts it up high and sends it flying through the air. He grabs the creature with both hands, holding tight on its jaws. He pushes himself to the limit, tearing the monster apart with everything he's got until it finally goes down for good. The officials sat in front of their screens, staring. Nothing on the monitors made sense to them. They just kept watching, confused, trying to figure out what was going on. The boss looked uneasy, glancing over to see if the new kid had finally been knocked out. His face loses all its color. Up in the stands, the girl with white hair watched Joe, her eyes fixed on him. She couldn't figure out how he managed to pull off what he just did. He kept his hand tight on the monster's head, not letting go for a second. He looks right into the camera, eyes locked on like he's sizing someone up. Just one glare from him is enough to make the officials start sweating nervously. The boss's hands start to shake, and he looks around the room, clearly freaking out. His face gets pale, and he doesn't seem to know what to do next. He was annoyed, thinking about all the money he wasted to hire that fighter, just to watch the kid take him down so easily. The announcer tries to get back on track, quickly congratulates Joe, and points him toward the staff so he can go pick up his prize. Sometime later, backstage, there's a briefcase loaded with cash sitting right in front of him. The official tells him the total comes out to about $500,000. He stretches out his hand, trying to grab it. The boss suddenly shuts the door hard. He flashes a sly grin, letting Joe know things aren't going as planned. Now, if Joe wants the full payout, he has to stick around as a full-time fighter. If not, he's only getting a small cut and has to walk away. He squinted, not letting it slide. He wanted to hear it again just to be sure he hadn't missed. The boss loses it, raising his voice and complaining that everyone else bylayed after the fight. On top of that, his top fighter ended up losing his head out of nowhere. He quickly reminded them that this wasn't what they agreed on at the start. He brings up the rule that says fighters can't be blamed if someone dies in the ring. He checks again, wanting to make sure that was actually what they agreed on. As soon as Joe steps forward, the guy's face goes pale. It's like all the confidence drains out of him just from being near Joe. He stands there looking like he means business, making it clear he wants the full payment right now. Everyone can tell he's not messing around. If he doesn't get what he's owed, things aren't going to end well. The boss pulls out a gun, aiming it right at him. Even with the threat in his face, he stays calm, barely reacting. With quick hands, the hero takes apart the weapon before the thug even knows what's happening. The thug tries to fight back, but the hero grabs his hand and bends his finger until it snaps. The boss, clutching his wound and clearly hurting, glared at the kid. Without wasting a second, he barked at his guys to open fire and take the kid out. His guys don't waste a second. They pull out their guns, aiming them without hesitation. He lets out a long sigh and looks even more annoyed, his frustration growing with every passing second. Outside, the white-haired girl stiffens when gunshots ring out all of a sudden. Just then, a guy crashed right through the window and tumbled across the floor like someone tossed out the recycling. Everyone in the crowd just stands there, staring at the bodyguard knocked out cold on the ground. Most of them start looking around, confused, like maybe there's a hidden camera or someone filming a movie scene. No one's really sure if this is real or just some prank. The white-haired girl looks around at the mess and immediately thinks Joe is behind it all. She's not surprised. This seems just like something he'd do. While all this is going on, the hero moves straight through the bodyguards like they're nothing, not even slowing down when they pull out their guns. He just keeps going, focused on what he came to do, not letting anything distract him. The bald thug lifts his gun and gets ready to shoot. He keeps his head held high and pushes forward, not backing down. He crashed right through the wall instead. He bursts out the door, clutching the cash, and takes off running. Behind him, the guys upstairs start shouting, trying to get everyone to chase after him. He runs down the street as fast as he can, but his legs start to feel heavy, and he can tell he's getting tired. No matter how hard he tries to push himself, his pace is dropping, and he knows he can't keep this up much longer. His injuries keep wearing him down bit by bit, making it harder for him to keep going. Out of nowhere, someone grabs the back of his hoodie and pulls him fast into a tight alley. The same girl from earlier suddenly covers his mouth with her hand, making sure he stays quiet while the thugs hurry by, not even noticing them hiding there. Once everything settles down, she lets him know it's all good now. Joe finally gets a good look at her and realizes he's seen her before that day. She tells him to take it easy and not waste his energy, letting him know there's a secret way out that she's aware of. She quickly led him toward a tunnel, making it clear he needed to hurry. If he stayed any longer, those thugs would block off the whole area and catch him for sure. He starts to say something, but she interrupts him before he can finish and tells him to hurry up. With nothing else he could do, he just nodded at her, kind of grateful. He bolts straight into the tunnel, not looking back. Once he left, she pulled out her communicator and tapped the screen. Right away, someone on the other end started getting loud, clearly annoyed she'd vanished without saying anything. She didn't bother explaining herself and just told her sister to stop complaining and hand the call over to their grandfather. She had something important to tell him. Joe barely made it through his front door before his legs gave out. He dropped onto the floor, totally worn out, not even trying to get up. He struggles to breathe, grabbing his chest and trying not to pass out. But once his body runs out of energy, he just collapses right there, knocked out cold. He slips into a dream and his mom is there. She tells him she's sorry for pretending she was getting better. The real story hits harder. She only has a few years left, if that. His mom just wanted to see him get older, maybe even become a dad himself one day. She wished they had more time to hang out and make memories together. His mom looked tired and a little sad as she apologized for not having the strength to stick around. Even though she seemed worn out, she made sure he knew just how much she loved him, more than anything else in the world. Tears stream down his face as everyone around him tries to make sense of what's happening. Hiro jolts awake, his eyes flying open as he's pulled out of his thoughts. He takes a deep breath, pulls himself together, and glances out the window at the bright sky. He sits up and looks around, finally noticing that he's still in Joe's house. He feels glad to be awake and okay, even if that old nightmare from when he was a kid is what pulled him out of sleep. Suddenly, a voice pops up in his head, totally unexpected. It hits him when he least expects it, throwing him off for a second. He wonders where the demon has been hiding lately, but the cursed book just brushes it off, saying something about having business to handle. Instead of giving a real answer, the demon turns things around and wants to know what happened that left him knocked out for 2 whole days. Before he even gets a word out, the demon figures out what happened. The guy snuck into the underground arena, pushed himself way too hard, and ended up fighting a monster head-on. Loses it, clearly fed up with a reckless move. The guy tries to play it cool, acting like it's no big deal, but isn't letting it slide. The demon keeps pressing him, not ready to drop it anytime soon. He reminded him that his strength wouldn't save him if things went wrong again. This was his second chance, and he needed to take it seriously. There wouldn't be another do-over, so he had to make it count. Joe can't help but smile after that. He nods at the demon, kind of grateful that someone's looking out for him, even if it's a demon. Lets his guard down a little. He starts to think about the monster he just fought, and realizes that thing didn't seem like it belonged here at all. The whole experience leaves him wondering where it really came from. Thinking about it brings back memories of the girl he ran into in that creepy place, but he decides not to dwell on it. For now, he's focused on leveling up. Nothing else really matters. Right then, he suddenly remembers the reward he got last night. It hits him. He's not a kid anymore, he's grown up. He pops open the briefcase right away, showing off neat piles of cash inside. The demon started making fun of him, acting like it was crazy to risk his life just for some cash. But he didn't really care what the demon thought. Right now, winning meant he could finally stop stressing about his bills, at least until the tournament was over. He glanced down at his injury, and knew he needed to take care of it before heading back to school. He rubbed his head, thinking about how there was still so much left to do today. The hospital, the bank, and then classes. Everything was piling up, and it was starting to feel pretty overwhelming. At the hospital, the place felt tense. Bright lights buzzed overhead while people moved quickly down the halls. Even though everything looked normal, there was this heavy sense in the air, like everyone was waiting for something important to happen. The doctor takes a look at his injury, then lets him know it isn't too serious. As long as he keeps it clean, it should heal up pretty fast. The man notices how fast the boy is healing. Curious, he asks if the boy's actually an oracle. The boy admits that he is. Right away, the doctor changes the subject and starts pushing some membership plan. The guy shuts him down without even thinking about it and just asks for the regular medicine. He was relieved when he realized the monster's tongue wasn't poisonous. He sees the doctor pass him a bottle of ointment. Just as he grabs it, he stops cold, eyes locked on the label. He can't believe what he's seeing. He wonders why the bottle is glowing, but the doctor just stares at him like he's imagining things and says it's just a normal container. He's not fooled at all. He spots it right away, shining in the other guy's hand. The doctor brings up the membership deal again, mentioning that the counseling sessions could help with the hallucinations caused by stress. But he just tunes the doctor out and doesn't pay attention to what's being said. Joe steps into the hallway and right away, he picks up on something weird. There's this energy in the air, almost like the whole place is buzzing, and it's impossible to ignore. He held out his hand and noticed it started glowing even brighter. That's when he figured it had something to do with star energy. He thinks back to that fight underground and starts to wonder if that's when something inside him changed. He smiles to himself, realizing that if he can actually sense star energy now, taking it in will be way easier. At that moment, a guy strolls by, glowing with this bright green light. Joe notices him right away and tries to play it cool, pretending like nothing's out of the ordinary. Once the guy walks by, he takes another quick glance. Suddenly, sweat starts forming on his forehead. He can't help but think that this man's vibe is just on a whole different level. The green-haired guy stops for a second, like he just noticed something weird. He thinks maybe someone's watching him or checking him out, but then he just shrugs it off and keeps going. His communicator suddenly goes off loud, and someone starts giving him orders. They want him to find the alien star right away, no excuses. The green-haired guy stays cool, letting everyone know he isn't going anywhere soon. He's planning to hang out in the country for a while. But the other voice isn't having it. It brings up what the boss said, that the alien star is a serious threat, something you can't just ignore. Someone always needs to keep an eye on it, just in case things go sideways. The green-haired guy takes off his sunglasses and flashes a quick smirk. He looks pretty chill, like he's not bothered at all. It's almost like he thinks the boss is overthinking things again. He makes it clear, if that alien star turns out to be a real threat, he won't hold back. He's ready to take it down, no second thoughts. The next day at school, the principal isn't too happy with him. He gets called out for missing classes and ignoring the principal's calls. He says sorry and explains that he got busy dealing with some stuff in his own life. The principal's voice calms down, and he looks way more concerned than upset. He tries to make the guy feel better, letting him know it's okay, and then checks if this has something to do with the tournament. The old man just shook his head, totally sure that the guy would do fine in the tournament. He wasn't worried about that at all. What he really wanted to know was if the school would have his back if things ever got really bad for him. He lets the guy know that the school mostly cares about backing up the best oracles. Joe just grinned and waved off the principal's concerns. He looked confident, like he was ready to bring his best to the tournament. Seeing Joe's attitude, the principal finally relaxed and seemed a lot less tense. A little while later, Shen and hurry over to find him. They want to know what happened, both of them looking curious and a bit on edge. Shen thinks back to when the guy talked about some fighting move, then starts searching through his pockets. He pulls out a credit card, letting him know that everyone chipped in and put together $300,000 for him. It's not something he has to stress about paying back right away. He can just handle it later. When he heard their reaction, he stopped in his tracks, surprised that they actually took what he said so seriously. He nods at them in appreciation, but lets them know he's decided against learning that technique after all. Right at that moment, Wen shows up. He looked more shy than usual and tried to make up for how he acted before by offering $50,000 as an apology. The hero gave a quick nod, showing he appreciated the gesture, while Sue wasted no time grilling the redhead. She wasn't buying his act and wanted to know if he was hiding something. Finally comes clean, admitting that he just wanted to make up for calling Joe a fraud before. Now, he really hopes they can put that behind them and actually be friends. Sue gets closer and quietly checks if they should let the new guy join. He just shrugs, letting her know it's cool with him either way. Looked over at Wen, checking if he was cool with being the fourth guy in the group. Wen just shrugged it off, not really caring about where he landed in the lineup. Right away, Shen jumped in, acting like the leader, and told Wen to grab a water bottle for him. The two of them start arguing, both getting pretty worked up. Joe just grins to himself, realizing he's got some real friends now. Now he's on a treadmill, jogging and thinking about how oracles are supposed to take in more energy when they work out. But as he keeps going, he realizes it's barely making a difference. The energy is coming in way slower than he expected. Joe's got his training gear on, but he can tell it's not really doing much. Most of the energy keeps slipping away, and he just kind of accepts it. He realized this was probably why most people got stuck at level 1. He knew he had to figure out a better way to do it, and he needed to do it soon. Right then, Shen jumps in and brings up the idea of a duel match. He says it's way more interesting than just practicing alone, hoping to shake things up a bit. Suddenly it hits him. Shen could actually be right. He remembers how his new power showed up during the fight, and things start making more sense. He decides it's time to get everyone together, so he tells Shen to round up the group. A few moments later, Shen and team up and go after him. He manages to block their moves and keeps them both from landing a hit. He looked over at the results and felt pretty good about how things turned out. He let the two know it was time to chill, since they'd been working at it for more than an hour. Shen and Sue were both catching their breath, clearly worn out. Sue honestly thought he was just messing around when he brought up the idea of a 1-on-2 2 spar. But Shen seemed pretty serious about it, saying this kind of training actually works really well. He glances over at, giving him the signal that it's his shot. With his red hair, just grins, already pumped to jump in. Joe kept an eye on the group and noticed everyone's progress was speeding up way more than usual. It looked like his theory was right. Everyone's absorption rate was climbing, and that meant they'd all be leveling up faster than before. He knows his body can handle more than most guys, so he's ready to take the test up a notch. In this world, supplements get watered down so they don't cause any trouble. Still, guys who don't absorb them well hardly get anything out of them. Compared to any regular supplement, the power skill packs way more punch, like 100 times stronger. If he just tried to take it all in at once without thinking, his body wouldn't be able to handle it, and things would go really bad really fast. He thought maybe if he just took things slow and steady, letting himself adjust bit by bit, he could handle it. Leveling up super fast could actually happen. Joe decides to take the risk, so he uses his skill. Right away, strong waves of energy burst out from him. He's caught off guard by the sudden burst of power, but it clicks. This ability really does let him jump 2 levels at once. He braces himself, focusing hard as he pushes the energy into a narrow, steady flow, then begins to draw it in. His whole body tensed up, every muscle burning from the intense pressure. Joe tried to keep his head straight, but the energy rushed into him way faster than he expected. It was like his whole body was being charged up in seconds. Suddenly, he started to freak out. Everything inside him felt too intense, like he might just explode from the pressure. He looks around, knowing there's nothing else he can do. With a deep breath, he lifts his hand toward the sky and lets all that built-up energy burst out. Waves of energy shoot out, spreading through the air. Joe's friends had to cover up, barely able to handle the pressure coming off him. None of them expected this. They stood there, trying to wrap their heads around how Joe just got so insanely strong, trading confused glances as everything changed in an instant. Shows up right then, pulled in by all the chaos happening nearby. The demon stops cold when he sees what's in front of him. Joe's standing there, sweat dripping down his face, but he looks steady, like he's not scared at all. Somehow, Joe just took in all that power, and it's clear he's handling it. The demon stares, not really sure how the boy actually did it. He's caught off guard, trying to figure out what just happened. He wonders if Joe might actually be the person he's been hoping to meet all this time. Curiosity gets the better of him, so he checks with the boss to find out if anything was mentioned earlier. The boss doesn't stick to the heavy stuff for long. He just shrugs it off and says he's glad the kid made it out alive. The coach heard the noise and rushed over, looking for answers. Sue pointed out that Joe was the one behind all the energy that just went off. The coach couldn't believe how much star energy was showing up. He quickly waved over the assistants and told them to grab the measurement device. After checking out his power, everyone realized that our hero had already made it to level 3 Oracle. At first, the coach just stares, not sure if what he's seeing is real. He blinks a couple of times, trying to process everything. He hurries down the hallway toward the principal's office, wanting to let him know what happened, since nobody at the school has reached level 3 Oracle in ages. While he's on his way, Sue catches up and wants to know how he managed to level up so fast. She's hoping he'll show her how it's done. He explains it's all thanks to his constant training. After thinking about it, he realizes he should probably keep things quiet next time, just to avoid causing any problems. When they heard the news, all 3 of them got pumped up and started practicing even harder. On the other hand, the guy couldn't help but wonder why the boss wasn't mad at him this time. Usually, he'd expect a scolding or at least a cold look, but today, things felt different. It left him kind of confused, trying to figure out what was up with the boss and if something had changed between them. He's pretty much used to it by now. Can pull out all his powers whenever he wants, especially if he needs to help Joe get stronger fast. He lets the demon know he's not concerned. He's got a ton of star energy saved up, and once he gets used to his new power, he's planning to get even stronger. Just like that, the boss hears what's said and doesn't say a word. He just goes quiet. Time seemed to fly by, and before he knew it, the day of the competition was almost here. The guy puts in serious hours at the gym, pushing himself harder every day. He keeps going, sweating through every workout, determined to get stronger. After a ton of effort, he finally reaches the level he's been aiming for. It's finally time. The guys walk into the place, and everyone's hyped up. You can just tell they're ready for whatever's next, glancing around and grinning at each other. Sue can hardly believe she's finally made it. She's pumped, thinking about how proud her mom would be. Meanwhile, Shen stands nearby, clearly enjoying himself as he points out that there are more people here this year than ever before. Steps in and checks if Joe's set for the level 4 bracket. The other guy's clearly annoyed he missed the chance to level up and get in, but Joe just shrugs it off, not making a big deal about it. The principal's advice kept running through his mind. He knew he was supposed to give it everything he had, but if things started to get out of hand, it was okay to just step back and call it quits. There's nothing wrong with backing off and saving your strength for the next round, especially now that the level 3 and level 4 arenas are separate. The 3 guys went their separate ways, leaving him to get ready by himself. The principal and coach walked into the VIP section, their eyes wide as they took in the fancy room. Both looked pretty excited, almost like they couldn't believe they were were actually there. The coach grinned, clearly enjoying the moment, thinking that this kind of treatment was long overdue. With their school finally having a fighter in the level 4 bracket, it felt like everything was paying off. Out of nowhere, principal walks in. The principal gets a pat on the back for turning out 2 top students in just a few months. He just shrugs it off, not taking the credit, and points out that it was really the students putting in the work. All he did was support them and make sure they had what they needed. He also gives a nod, since was the one who shared all the important details about the competition. After the Reformation, the government said they'd give out grants to the schools that came out on top. With money on the line, the tournament was about to get tougher. Out of nowhere, some cocky guy started pointing fingers, blaming a country kid for barging into the VIP lounge and stirring up all the chaos. The principal looked like he wanted to answer, but stepped in and held him back. Seemed serious, making it clear that it was better not to get involved with those guys. Everyone knew they were principals from other schools, and they'd already taken first place in this competition before. The principal just shrugs it off, saying what happened before doesn't matter now. Honestly, no one really has a clue who's going to come out on top in this competition. The white-haired guy wanted the moment to stick in his memory, knowing it wouldn't happen again. He took a good look around, trying to take in every detail, making sure he'd remember this scene long after it was over. The coach turns to the principal, looking a bit unsure. He wonders if the students are ready for this, since it's their first time jumping into such a big competition. Wanted to know what the coach thought about his students. The coach told him the group was full of talented people, but Joe stood out the most. Joe was on another level, way ahead of everyone else, even the ones you call geniuses. The principal just says they need to trust the students. Up in the stands, the class is cheering Joe on. She can't help but feel nervous though, since it's her first time being at a place like this. While everyone else seems excited, she's mostly just hoping Joe's okay. At first, she didn't really think he would join the competition, but now she's in the crowd cheering him on. About a week back at school, she was sure Joe was turning into the academy's golden boy. Now, she couldn't even find a way to talk to him anymore. He didn't even bother looking at anyone from the lower class. While all these thoughts ran through his head, she's just about to hit the ground. Just as she starts to fall, the hero steps in and grabs her right before she hits the ground. He checked to see if she was all right. She nodded and gave him a quick thanks, then wondered what brought him over. He explained that he'd spotted her from across the way and decided to come over and say hey. She realizes now that he's basically out of her league and probably won't ever hang out with people like her again. He reminds her that real friends stick around no matter what. Even when things get tough or weird, that bond doesn't just disappear. When she hears that, she smiles to herself. Joe's still the same as always, and she really believes he's got what it takes to win the tournament. The announcer says the contestants are heading to the stage. The class rep spots them and can't help but get hyped up, barely hiding how pumped he is. The guy steps outside with the rest of the group. Everyone settles in as the announcer starts things off, letting everyone know this year's exchange competition is about to begin. He's getting ready to host the event with his partner. When the crowd hears her name, everyone loses it. She's super famous. Pretty much everyone in the country knows who she is. The whole place lights up with excitement. She stepped onto the stage looking confident, but today she wasn't acting like a celebrity. She made it clear she was here to put in the effort just like everyone else. The spotlight wasn't on her this time. It was on the contestants. This was their moment, and she was happy to just do her job and support them. After that, the announcer breaks down how things are going to work. There are 48 contestants from 12 different academies, with 16 of them placed in the level 4 bracket and the other 32 in the level 3 bracket. He points out that this hall is set up just for the level 4 group. Everyone's scores from both brackets will count towards their rankings, but later on, those scores will get turned into points. Each fighter steps up to face an opponent. Whoever wins the match moves forward to battle the next winner. This keeps going until only one person is left standing. Each round has a 30-minute time limit, so everyone's got to stay sharp and not waste time. The match wraps up when one of the guys either gives up or just can't keep going anymore. Let everyone know that the tournament rules this year were a lot stricter. Still, she acted like it wasn't a big deal and pointed up at the top of the pillar, getting everyone's attention. Everyone in the hall perks up as soon as they spot Yue, the S-rank celebrity. The energy in the room changes, with people whispering and glancing his way, trying to act cool but clearly impressed. He tries to prove how strong he is, but he just can't pull it off. He taps his finger, and the whole floor vibrates like it's nothing. The announcer points out that the master created a special ring for the matches. This ring keeps everyone watching safe from any attacks that might go flying their way. Plus, the master can fix up the ring right away after every fight, so things can keep moving without any big delays. The host reminds everyone to put on their gems. These gems aren't just for show, they prove you're a real contestant and can help keep you safe if things get sketchy. Around the room, people start whispering to each other. Most of them are clearly uneasy, thinking about how intense it must be to go up against someone ranked S. He starts to wonder if his power is getting close to S-level. This guy just goes through life like nothing ever bothers him. No nerves, no stress, he just does his thing totally relaxed. The idol explains that everyone will see their results show up on the gems, and then she lets everyone know that the competition is starting. The first match wraps up in only 17 minutes. Everyone waited, holding their breath as the name was announced. Ran's name came out on top, and for a moment it felt like everything paused. Some people cheered, others just stared, trying to process what had happened. Ran stood there, caught between surprise and a little bit of pride, not sure whether to smile or just take it all in. The room buzzed with excitement, phones already coming out to snap pics or share the news online. The principal stood there, pretty stunned that an S-rank oracle was actually in charge of the tournament this year. With someone that powerful running things, everyone knew the matches were about to get way tougher than usual. Principal explained that the real reason was the gap between level 4 and level 3. Level 4 oracles had already mastered their fighting moves, which made a huge difference. The well-known schools had so much money that picking up C-rank techniques wasn't even a big deal for them. It was just part of their normal routine. They always managed to win the tournament because they spent the grant money on top-notch potions and the latest fighting skills for their team. This year, though, everything's about to turn upside down. The fifth match kicks off with Lan Qin facing Li. Qin moves around the arena with ease, dodging every attack Li throws at her. It's clear she's in control, making it look almost too easy as she sidesteps and slips away from every move he makes. The crowd can see that Qin isn't even breaking a sweat, while Li keeps trying but just can't land a hit. She steps forward and shows off her fighting skills, using powers that make her moves faster and stronger than usual. She grabs her opponent and holds them back, making sure they can't move. She steps forward and delivers the last hit, locking in her win for the match. Everyone in the crowd starts buzzing with excitement as they watch her. A lot of people are convinced she's got some hidden magic going on. When the principal saw what happened, he couldn't believe his eyes. That sort of skill was something only top-level oracles could pull off. Principal felt proud watching her. She'd managed to get that power way earlier than most, and it was clear she was something special. Principal didn't seem bothered, even after he heard about her ability. He just kept his cool, acting like it wasn't a big deal at all. Just smirked and threw it back at him, wanting to know why he even tried to get her on his side if he really meant what he said. Principal Li just says it's nothing serious, just something that happens early sometimes. During the sixth match, moves fast and shuts down his opponent right away. He doesn't give the other guy any chance to make a move. The match is over almost as soon as it starts. Just 5 seconds and it's already walking off the mat. The crowd can't believe how quick it happened. Everyone in the crowd watches and pretty much expects the Blazing Oracle to take the win again this year. Everyone knew that Principal Li's student was on another level. The other principal couldn't help but think nobody else even came close. Li tries to act cool and claims that dogs that bark a lot aren't actually dangerous. He says this like he's totally sure of himself, wanting everyone to think he's not scared at all. Just tells him to hang back and see how things go. Most of the guys looked around, realizing this fight was way above what they could handle. Some tried to act tough, but deep down, everyone knew this was on a whole different level. Joe's team barely scraped into the tournament. No one expected them to make it this far, so just being here already feels like a win. If Joe can manage to pick up even one victory, or at least put up a good fight, he'll have every reason to be proud. Once the seventh match wrapped up, it was his turn to step into the spotlight. He stood there, thinking about who he'd be up against. Once the seventh match wrapped up, it was his turn to step into the spot. Wanted him to use his powers and end the match fast. But he knew that if he did, everyone would start watching him, and things could get serious if people started looking into what he could really do. As he headed over to the ring, he ran into Qin. He lets him know it's tough luck being in the last match, since the guy he's up against is one of the best out there. His fighting skills are so intense that even a D-rank oracle wouldn't be able to handle it all the way. He wonders if using such a strong move is safe during the lower-level matches. Qin lets him know the gemstone will stop one serious hit, but he's still going to get pretty hurt. That's just how tough these matches are. He wondered why she was going out of her way to help him. She lets him know they're on the same side, both wanting to take down the cocky guys who think they're better than everyone else. Before she heads out, she lets him know she was counting on his help. She knows his opponent is tough to beat, so even if he can't win, just wearing the guy down a bit would make a difference. When he hears that, he starts to question if his opponent is actually as tough as she claims. The last match of the first round was about to kick off, and the noise in the place got even louder when he stepped into the ring. Everyone was hyped, waiting to see what would happen next. He gets the sense that everyone here actually wants him around. But actually, everyone in the crowd is cheering for Lei, the other contestant. He showed up looking like he just walked straight out of a superhero movie, grabbing everyone's attention without even trying. Nobody really saw it coming, Lei showing up in the final match. This guy became an oracle when he was just 12, and by 16, he'd already worked his way up to level 4. On top of that, he got a national certificate and even an invite to join a guild. Most people would probably say he's the top fighter of his generation right now. As soon as he steps into the ring, the whole place erupts. People in the crowd are on their feet, yelling his name and hyping him up like he's already won. It's loud, and the energy just keeps building as everyone shows they're rooting for him. The class rep looks around and notices that no one in the crowd is cheering for him. She starts to get anxious, her mind racing with thoughts about how he must be feeling up there with zero support. It's awkward, and she can't help but hope someone will finally speak up for him. Someone in the crowd pointed out that Lei had a ton of fans, mostly because he was strong and good-looking. Meanwhile, his opponent just seemed like some regular dude who looked kind of angry all the time. When he said that, she let him know she was backing Joe. She really believed Joe was a good guy, kind and easy to get along with. After that, the two of them get into an argument. Tension starts to build between them, and it's clear neither wants to back down. Their voices get louder, and the mood shifts as frustration takes over. Everyone nearby starts looking around, trying to figure out what's happening. Everyone's buzzing, all eyes on the genius as he gets ready for the big match. People can't help but wonder if he's actually got what it takes to take down Academy, who haven't lost a single game. As the announcer gets things started, the energy in the room goes up a notch. Suddenly steps in, reminding him that he still needs to introduce one of the fighters. He apologizes right away, saying he forgot because he got caught up in everything that was going on. After that, he points out Joe and says he's from Lady Oracle Academy. It's actually the first time anyone from Joe's school has joined this competition, so people seem a bit curious. But honestly, there's nothing else that really stands out about Joe right now. He starts to question whether the school should given him a technique before the tournament even started. People in the crowd start whispering and looking at him, clearly doubting he can stand a chance against someone known for being super talented. Some even look like they already made up their minds about how this is going to end. The guy with the suddenly cracks up, laughing way too loud as he starts teasing the class rep in front of everyone. Principal Wu didn't look too happy about the situation. He glanced over at the other principal, clearly thinking it was a tough break that their school had to go up against the Academy's best player right from the start. Still, he tried to brush it off, acting like it wouldn't last long and things would be over soon. Reminded that everybody starts out somewhere, and the best thing he could do was not let the other guy bother him. He wanted to stay cool and not get worked up over it. Inside the ring, Lei looked over at his opponent and couldn't help but think it was tough luck for the guy. It was the guy's first tournament, and he had to go up against Lei right from the start. Bro nudges him to focus on the fight, making sure he doesn't miss anything important going on in the ring. Out of nowhere, the guy rushes over and stops right next to him. He lets everyone know he's only going to use a small part of his strength for the start of the match, just 10%. It's clear he's not planning to go all out yet. Even if he ends up losing his first fight, he figures he'll still look alright. At least he won't embarrass himself. Lei pretends to be chill about it, but deep down, he's getting annoyed. He already told the guy to just fight like everyone else, and it's starting to get on his nerves. Right then, the announcer got everyone's attention, and you could tell the genius was pumped. With the crowd buzzing, the announcer let everyone know the final match of the first round was about to start. Lei suddenly rushed in, moving way faster than anyone expected, and went straight for the guy. He's moving so quickly that it almost looks like there are several versions of him darting around the place, like he's everywhere at once. Things get even tougher when everyone charges in at once. The guys watching can tell it's not going to be easy taking down someone this skilled. Principal Wu is pretty sure nobody out there can take him down. The genius figures the kid isn't moving since he can't see him. He figures the only person who could actually challenge him is. He thinks it's finally over, so he gets himself set to finish things once and for all. Joe steps up, closing the gap between them. As he does, he wonders if the other guy's really just going to stand there and take it, not even trying to move out of the way. He suddenly swings and lands a heavy punch straight to the guy's face. Everyone stares, not believing what they're looking at. It doesn't make sense to anyone, and for a second, nobody knows what to do. He managed to block Lei's move and hit back so fast, nobody saw it coming. Lei's known for being quick. He almost never gets caught off guard. Now everyone's wondering if Lei just slipped up for once or if he really couldn't keep up this time. Everyone in the crowd starts looking at him like something's off. Usually nobody lands a hit on the genius, so people begin to suspect he's cheated somehow. He glances around, unsure if he's messed up by hitting first, like maybe there's some rule he didn't know about. Points out to the principal that his student really stands out. Wu didn't buy it at all. He told the principal that Lei had to be cheating. In Wu's mind, there was just no way anyone could run faster than Lei. The principal just shrugged it off, saying that if they really were cheating, the people in charge would have figured it out by now. Principal Lee cuts him off, not happy with all the complaining. The principal thinks all that noise is just making things worse for everyone watching. He lets them know they should keep watching the match, since it isn't finished yet. Right then, steps up, making it clear he's not ready to give up. He realized he hadn't really paid much attention to Joe before, but now he was ready to give it everything he had. Lightning wrapped itself around him while he got ready to launch another attack. He looked like he was struggling to keep it together, barely holding back all that power. Lei keeps calling down more lightning, but the guy just stands there, totally chill. He doesn't even flinch or blink like this is nothing new to him. He can't help but think it's kind of funny how Lei's got all this superstar energy bottled up inside him. Out of nowhere, a streak of yellow lightning zipped right past past Joe. He didn't see it coming at all, and it caught him off guard. The guy hits the barrier and gets tossed around the arena, picking up speed each time he crashes into something. He's moving so fast now, it's almost hard to follow where he'll end up next. The announcer gets hyped, letting everyone know that Lei is about to pull out his secret move. Meanwhile, just keeps talking, throwing in random stuff that doesn't really matter. Lei smirked, already sure he had this win in the bag. He jumps down from above, putting all his power into a strong kick. He doesn't even try to get out of the way. He just stands there, looking calm, and then suddenly throws one punch that lands right on Lei's face. Lei charges forward with everything he's got, but he can't slow down in time. He ends up sliding across the arena floor, totally out of control. Joe lets him know he missed his chance to win by not going for it sooner. The announcer lets everyone know that has gone down again. This time the stone glows red, which means they can't keep fighting. As the crowd cheers for Joe's win, the announcer gets all hyped up and excited. He thinks about Lei for a second, hoping he'll be okay. The stone was supposed to protect him from anything really bad. The crowd goes wild, caught off guard by how quickly the match wrapped up. After Lei lost, Chin stepped in for the second quarterfinal. He played with total confidence, barely even looking like he was trying, and came out on top without any trouble. Steps up next and takes care of his opponent without any trouble. He moves fast and looks calm the whole time, barely even breathing hard as he wins. Everyone could tell the beast was way too strong to handle, but even with all that chaos, most people kept glancing back at Joe. The kid with messy hair shoots them a look so intense, it's like he's saying they don't even matter. Everyone in that part of the room just stops in their tracks, too scared to even move. In the fourth match, Ran, who came from a different Oracle school, stepped up to face him. Ran didn't hold back at all, making the match way tougher than any of the earlier ones. Joe moves around easily, slipping past every punch like he's done this 100 times before. He finishes the fight with a quick punch to Ran's head, knocking him down hard. Up in the stands, the officials watched closely. They noticed the kid hadn't pulled out any combat moves yet. Instead, he was just using his raw energy, keeping things simple and holding back on any real technique. One of the guys starts to think that maybe he's not showing his real skills, or even worse, that he could be using something illegal to boost his abilities, which would totally break the tournament rules. Back in the arena, the announcer gets the crowd excited for the semifinals. It's Joe's turn to step up, and he's facing off against this round. He stops talking right away when a group of officials in dark suits steps onto the stage. Everyone in the crowd starts murmuring, all of them trying to figure out who just showed up. One of the inspectors points at the gear and tells the main guy to suit up. He wants to see him use his star energy, so everyone's watching, waiting to see what he'll do next. When the crowd spots the tournament inspectors, everyone starts whispering and glancing at Joe. It's pretty obvious what they're all thinking. Maybe Joe's in trouble for cheating. The whole place gets tense, with people pulling out their phones and trying to figure out what's going on. The boy notices sweat starting to form on his forehead. He's starting to think maybe he pushed things a bit over the line. In his head, he tells himself to chill out with the powers next time. The inspectors checked the results and saw that everything looked normal. The numbers were steady, nothing out of the ordinary. The judges stood in front of everyone and let the crowd know the contestant was playing fair. They step back and the announcer can't believe it. Everyone just heard that the hero really made it to level 4. With that, the crowd buzzes as the semifinal gets the green light to start. Everyone in the crowd goes quiet for a second, each person taking in what just happened. Everyone suddenly gets hyped when they realize the hero is actually the real deal. Stands across the stage, suddenly freezing up. His hands tremble and his face loses all its color as he finally gets what just happened. As soon as the match starts, Joe steps up and lands a single, solid punch. The other guy drops to the ground, completely out, and it's over before anyone even has time to react. The announcer's voice is almost gone from yelling into the mic, but he keeps going anyway. Meanwhile, just keeps talking, throwing in words that don't really add anything. Up in the stands, Principal glanced over at the school's principal, pretty impressed with the students' insane skills. The principal just sat there, soaking up the compliments with a satisfied grin, totally owning the praise. The other principals, who used to make fun of him, suddenly hurry over and start saying good things about him. He gives them a polite smile, but deep down, all the attention makes him squirm a little. On the other side, Lee and Stan together, clearly annoyed as they watch the crowd piling up. The sudden swarm of people trying to impress someone really gets on their nerves. The principal couldn't help but smile, feeling proud as he watched Joe. He believed Joe had really kept his word and made their school look good. Chin stepped onto the arena floor as they announced the last semifinal. His hands felt tight at his sides, and he kept his focus straight ahead. Every move showed how set he was on winning, like nothing else mattered right now. Moves closer, standing right across from her. His eyes lit up with a sharp, focused look, like he'd just found something he really wanted. Loud cheers echoed from the stands, shaking up the whole stadium. For a split second, the beast looks away. She spots her chance and moves fast. He notices the opening in his defense. She bursts forward, powering up for her next move. Her hand moves smooth and quick, almost like drifting clouds as she gets ready to attack. The attack lands right in his chest, hitting him hard. hard, stands his ground without missing a step. He looks a little annoyed, locking eyes with her and holding her gaze. Her confidence fades fast when she sees her attack barely left a mark on him. Panic creeps in as she realizes she might be in way over her head. Grabs her wrist like it's nothing, looking at her like he can't believe she actually thinks she's got real skills. Quickly reacts, telling the guy to leave her alone. Without hesitating, she slams her elbow right into his face. He just stands there, totally unfazed, acting like the whole thing is a joke to him. She takes a deep breath, getting ready for her next move. With her focus locked in, she gathers her energy, building up for another powerful blast. She wraps him up with her magic, covering him head to toe until he pretty much looks like a mummy. She goes at him with wind-style kicks, landing hit after hit on his body, not letting up for a second. For a second, she lets herself believe she got him good. All her hits seem to land, and she figures he has to be hurting now. Her hope disappears in an instant when she realizes is standing right behind her, quiet as a shadow. The color drains from her face, and she freezes, caught completely off guard. She spins around, not really believing what just happened. She can't figure out how he got there so quickly, but by the time she reacts, it's already over. He slams his fist into her, channeling all the power from his blood rage technique. She slammed into the barrier and hit it so hard that it started to crack. When the shards fly everywhere, Chin falls to her knees, struggling just to catch her breath. Meanwhile, the announcer makes it clear that's got the advantage now. Her juniors look down, trying not to watch as she gets completely destroyed. They can't handle seeing it happen to her, so they stare at the ground, faces wet with tears. Principal clenches his fists, hoping his top student can make it through. Chin stands completely still as she. He looks down at the red tag next to her, his mind racing as he tries to figure out what it means. She's barely holding it together, her words shaky as she admits to herself that losing just isn't an option. When she spots the red tag, her mind drifts back to a moment at school. She stepped into the room, and right away, she could tell something was up. The students inside looked tense, glancing around and whispering to each other. One girl, tears running down her face, explained to her that if the academy closed, she wouldn't have any choice but to leave, even though she always wanted to become an oracle. She wrapped her arms around the two girls, trying to let them know everything would be okay. In that moment, Jean made up her mind. She was going to win the tournament. She wanted to help the academy get the money it needed so it wouldn't have to close down. Stood his ground, determined as ever, while the black-haired girl watched him with doubt in her eyes. Even though she didn't seem to believe him, stayed true to himself. He never broke his promises, and he wasn't about to start now. The girl reached into her pocket, searching for something. He reached into his pocket and took out a small red charm. It looked handmade, probably meant to bring him some luck. Right then, Chin felt something change inside her. She knew she wasn't going to back down. She was ready to give it her all, no matter what came next. Back in the present, she stretches her hand out toward the charm. She quietly reminded herself about the promise she made, just ignores it and crushes the good luck charm under his foot. He doesn't bother to hide how little he thinks of it, acting like it's worthless and not worth his time. He steps forward and kicks her hard, not even bothering to take his hands out of his pockets. Her crystal flashes red and she drops to the ground, knocked out cold. Doesn't let up, still throwing insults her way. Meanwhile, the announcer quickly calls the match, letting everyone know it's done. The beast wasn't done yet. He lifted his foot again, aiming to stomp down on her once more. People in the crowd start freaking out. The announcer's voice cuts through the noise, desperate for someone to step in and stop what's happening. The crowd froze, their eyes locked on the monster. No one could guess what it would do next, and everyone was on edge, barely even breathing as they watched. His voice shakes as he desperately calls out, hoping someone will help his student. One of the officials steps up, asking Master Bai Act to do something, but the guy doesn't get rattled. He just keeps his cool and lets everyone know he's got things handled. At the same time, slams his foot into the ground, hitting so hard that he leaves a deep dent in the arena floor. Suddenly, his eyes go wide when he notices the target isn't there anymore. Now, he stands with his chin resting on his arms, knowing he managed to save her just in time. He looks straight at the beast, ready to call him out, wondering if this is really what his school is about. Whips around, his eyes blazing with anger as he yells for Joe. The announcer finally relaxes when he sees that the guy managed to save Chin right before things got bad. Principal hurried over and held his student, who was hurt but still breathing. He looked relieved, almost like he'd just dodged the worst thing that could have happened. For a second, it seemed like all the stress in his face faded as he realized she was okay. The crowd starts shifting around, looking uneasy. Most of them can't wrap their heads around what just happened. They never thought the beast would actually go after her once she'd already lost. Doesn't even slow down. He just keeps walking straight at the main guy, acting like nothing can stop him. He looks ready to take out anyone dumb enough to get in his way, not afraid of what might happen. Joe's patience snaps after seeing that smug attitude. He locks eyes with the guy, not backing down for a second. Joe's stare says he's ready for whatever comes next, and he's not about to let anyone walk all over him. The doctors hurried over and took the girl away on a stretcher. Meanwhile, the announcer kept things moving, telling the staff to get the arena ready for the next match. Up in the stands, the guy's friends showed up with the class rep. Shen wanted to know how everything was going, so he checked in. She let him know that Joe had already made it to the finals. She can't shake the sense that there's something strange about her opponent. The principal's friend steps up, looking serious, and tells the boy to watch himself. He makes it clear that this isn't someone he should take lightly. The warning hangs in the air, making the boy pause and think twice about what he's getting into. Joe felt pumped and ready to go. He wanted his friend to know he had everything under control, so he didn't see any reason for him to be stressed. Inside the arena looked pretty smug, clearly thinking he had this in the bag. He didn't hide his attitude, almost daring anyone to challenge him. But the hero wasn't fazed. Even with everyone watching, he stood his ground, not letting his confidence shake him. Instead, he just stared back, ready to prove he wouldn't back down so easily. He grinned, clearly not taking the beast seriously, and wondered if it actually came to throw down or if it just wanted to talk tough. Both sides faced each other, energy rising between them like everyone could feel the tension. The match started for real when the announcer made it official, and right away, you could tell neither side was holding back. Doesn't hesitate. He throws a quick punch, moving faster than anyone expected. He stands there like it's no big deal, barely flinching as the attack hits. The guy doesn't move an inch, just taking it head-on while everyone else would have been knocked over. He grinned, clearly enjoying himself, almost like he expected Joe to put up more of a fight. But the guy isn't having it. He fires right back with the same words, almost like he read his mind. The other dude's caught off guard, looking nervous and unsure what to do next. He leans in, pressing the question, wondering if this is seriously the skill level of last tournament's winner. He tries to grab, but moves just in time, slipping out of reach. Fired up his blood rage skill. He clenched his fist, energy building as both guys went at it, throwing punches fast and hard. Neither of them wanted to back down, each determined to stand their ground. The announcer couldn't believe what he was seeing. He'd watched plenty of fights before, but he'd never seen a level 4 fighter go off like this. It was wild. Everyone in the crowd could tell this match was different. Joe's classmates just sit there, not really moving, as it hits them that he hasn't been going all out in their sparring sessions. Back inside the arena, Joe throws a huge uppercut. The punch landed right on his jaw. His teacher and principal can't help but stare, eyes wide. They're not sure what to think. One of their own students just showed strength they never expected. Blood shoots out of his mouth. He can't believe someone actually managed to push him this hard. For a guy who's always been the strongest in the room, getting knocked back like this just doesn't make sense. Thinking about that just makes him even angrier, so he cranks up his power, pushing himself harder than before. Shows up and notices that the guy is shoving star energy into himself to boost his power. 1 second was there, and the next he was gone, just like that, almost too quick to see. But something didn't seem right. Joe matches every move, staying right on pace. He gets ready to throw an elbow, pretty confident that no matter how fast his opponent moves, his sharp senses will catch it. Back in the control room, one of the officials couldn't sit still. He kept glancing at the monitors, noticing House level was climbing way faster than normal. Not sure what to do, he looked over at the master, hoping for some direction about whether they should check on. The mood in the room was tense, everyone waiting to see what the master would say. He stays cool, letting everyone know it's just his family's blood rage skills kicking in. It bumps him up a level, but he's not breaking any rules. The master looks over at the kid, realizing he's still holding back. It's pretty clear that nobody really knows what this guy is truly capable of yet, and the master starts thinking about just how much further the kid could push himself if he really tried. Back in the ring, the two fighters just keep swinging at each other, barely giving each other a second to breathe. It's fast, messy, and honestly looks like neither of them's planning to back down anytime soon. Joe's friends stand close, watching everything go down. Shen can't sit still, thinking Joe's losing ground, but the redhead points out what's really happening. Joe isn't being pushed back at all. He's handling the beast's punches like a pro, blocking every hit right where he wants. In the arena, the guy keeps his focus, slipping past every punch and kick that comes his way. He doesn't let up, always moving, eyes searching for the perfect moment to make his move. Joe finally fights back, landing a heavy punch that makes the beast throw up his arms to protect himself. Hits the ground hard enough to crack the floor, sliding back a bit from the force. The main guy doesn't waste any time, landing another solid punch right after. Realized that Joe had pushed him harder than anyone else ever had. He lets his pride and anger take over, pushing his blood arts to the next level. Even with everything going on, he can't let anyone think he's weak. In his mind, he's still the top guy, no matter what. Unfazed, the hero stands his ground and throws a challenge right back, almost daring the other guy to show what else he's got. He uses his borrow power skill, and right away, his level starts going up. The two heavy hitters face each other, both ready to throw down again. You can tell they're both fired up, almost like their hands are just waiting for the next punch. Notices that he can easily figure out how his opponent is going to attack next. He checks out the beast and quickly realizes its weak spot is right at its heart. He doesn't hesitate. He slams his elbow straight into the guy's chest, fast and solid. The beast's eyes popped open, caught off guard. guard. The hit landed hard, forcing the breath right out of him. Joe isn't done. He goes right in with another move, making step back and defend himself. The beast holds its ground, blocking every punch as they come in faster and hit harder each time. Deep down, it can't believe how much stronger and quicker the hero keeps getting. He's not giving up no matter what. He forces his blood powers to go further than he ever has before. He stands tall, looking confident, like he already knows how this fight is going to end. Without hesitating, he gets his fist ready, and you can see it start to glow with bright star energy, almost as if he's been saving this move for the perfect moment. Loses it and swings a huge punch, putting everything he's got into it, wanting to end this right now. Their fists slam into each other, sending off a quick spark. A massive explosion rips through the arena, sending shockwaves everywhere. The crowd reacts fast, throwing their arms up to block the force of the blast. The principal can't take his eyes off the fight, scrambling to figure out what just happened. Once the smoke fades away, everything starts to come into view. The announcer lets everyone know that is still on his feet. But right after that, the beast drops to the ground, and his crystal slips out and lands on the dirt, now stained red. He's the only one still on his feet. Everyone else is out, but he's hanging in there. Light of School steps up and takes the top spot in the level 4 category, locking in the overall championship too. Joe's friends go wild, jumping around and yelling as they realize they finally pulled off a win in the tournament. His teacher and the principal are on the sidelines, both pumped up and clearly proud of him. They're showing their support, making it obvious that what he did means a lot to the school. The principal couldn't hold back his tears, getting all emotional as he announced that they wouldn't need to ask for money anymore. Meanwhile, his teacher just stared at him, totally unfazed by his over-the-top reaction. The same principals who were making fun of him before suddenly hurry over, all smiles now, trying to act friendly and pretend they were on his side the whole time. They try to get on his good side, hoping no one remembers how they treated him earlier. At the same time, his principal is really angry about being embarrassed in front of everyone. Even the principal who came in second place last year is standing there, not sure how to react. Principal Lee couldn't believe it when the person he trusted most turned and ran off, leaving him all alone. One second he had backup. The next he was standing there by himself, watching his so-called ally disappear without even glancing back. Master figured it was time to head out now that the tournament was over. The official gave him a real grateful nod for everything he'd done. As made his way out, he looked calm and collected, ready to leave the noise and excitement behind. Noticed two people he didn't recognize standing off to the side, just watching. His eyes narrowed and he focused on them, trying to figure out what they were up to. He immediately thinks they might be checking out Joe for the team. The old man leaned toward the girl beside him, looking surprised as he watched what was happening. He couldn't believe someone from a small, out-of-the-way school could turn out to be this strong. He wonders if Lin can help get the main guy into their guild. Lin quietly tells him that she and Joe grew up together, but these days, Joe barely even remembers her. She's determined to bring him onto her team, ready to throw in all her effort just to make it happen. Back inside the arena, the winning team stands on stage, looking proud. Cameras go off everywhere while the principal steps up and puts Lei in the spotlight, using the win to hype up school live. He stands there, grinning for the cameras, but inside, he's thinking that posing for pictures is actually tougher than the fight itself. The next day, the principal calls Joe over and tells him he really owes Joe for helping the team win. Keeping his promise, the principal gives Joe the black crystal. The demon inside Joe can barely contain himself. He's fired up just seeing the crystal in Joe's hand. Even so, the principal lets him know that big Oracle academies are probably going to reach out soon. He also reminds him to remember his roots. Once the conversation ends, he leaves the office and heads outside. He turns the corner and almost bumps into his friends. Even though it's summer break, they're all carrying papers and look pretty happy to see him. Shen slung his arm over his friend's shoulder and let him know that all the big academies had already sent out their acceptance letters, and it turned out they'd both gotten in everywhere. He goes around and congratulates everyone, but the group keeps pointing back at him, saying he's the one who really made it all happen. Shen's whole vibe shifts. He suddenly seems way more determined, making it clear he's got big plans for both of them. Our guy isn't really sure what to think. He's caught off guard and left wondering what's going on in Shen's head. Su lets everyone know that even if they're heading to different schools, they can still hang out and keep in touch. Joe just smirked, clearly not bothered at all. For him, this was actually something to look forward to. Anything was better than sitting around bored. As they walk together, he mentions that when the time comes for him to train and get stronger, he's really going to count on their help. Out of nowhere, someone else showed up from around the corner. Nobody had seen him coming, so everyone froze for a second, surprised by the unexpected arrival. The class rep faces them, her eyes steady and serious. She's got this clear look that says she's ready to do more, like she's not scared of stepping up. She tells them she wants in, She wants to be part of their group and get stronger with them, not just watch from the sidelines. The class rep's eyes light up when she discovers what's on the desk. Her excitement is obvious, almost like she just stumbled on a surprise she's been hoping for. Even though she tries to play it cool, anyone watching can tell she's really into whatever she just found. He finally walks into the elite classroom. She nodded at him, grateful for what he did, but he just shrugged it off like it was nothing special. He said it was just the right thing to do. Nodded at the principal, showing his gratitude. The principal just gave a small smile, looking like he was glad to be there for him. He says he wants everyone to use these new spots, and hints that more updates are on the way. After the competition ended and the school came out on top, the principal could finally breathe easy. With the prize money in hand, he could actually start making some changes around the school, and it was all because his students pulled through for him. He gave everyone a nod for their hard work, and the group couldn't help but laugh about how everything seemed to be changing just as they were heading out. Sue wondered why the class rep was putting in so much effort during vacation, especially since there weren't any competitions coming up. She starts talking about her past, saying she never really thought she was good at anything, but watching everyone else put in so much effort made her want to step up too. Now, she's thinking about applying as a special cultural student, and there's still a month left before the deadline. He saw the pink-haired girl start to tear up. Sue reaches over and takes the class rep's hand, letting him know she's got his back and will do whatever she can to support him. Wanted to know what Joe was planning next and if he'd picked a school yet. Joe hadn't gotten any acceptance letters so far, which made things a bit uncertain for him. Nobody saw it coming, especially since everyone else had their results right away from the top 5 schools. The principal stands up, clears his throat, and gets the hero's attention. He looks serious, like he's about to say something important. Everyone in the room can tell it's not just another regular announcement. He gets handed a red envelope, and the other person lets him know it just showed up not long ago. Shen let out a big sigh, looking pretty relieved. Deep down, he always believed the guy wouldn't fall for anything dumb. Joe picked up the letter and took a good look at it. He noticed it was from Dawn Academy and mentioned it. As soon as everyone heard the name, their eyes widened. Nobody expected that. The points out that the academy is actually the one at the very top. The guy wanted to know what was going on, so the other dude started telling his story. He talks about how there are 5 main academies, and everyone pretty much sees them as the top dogs when it comes to power and respect. Out of all the schools, Dawn Academy is on another level. They're known for having the power to take in whoever they want, no questions asked. Joe started thinking about the number of academies and realized something didn't add up. He wondered to himself why there were only 5 academies when 6 would make more sense. The question bugged him, and he couldn't help but wonder if there was some kind of secret behind it. The principal lets everyone know that the academy is worth more than anyone can really figure out. He explains that every single academy was made for one reason, to fight against the rift. He suddenly looks more focused, making it clear this info isn't supposed to get out. Still, he decides to share it with them anyway. The rift is basically another world, packed with monsters that are way stronger than anything people have ever seen. If those things ever got out and made it to the real world, everything would turn into chaos. Whenever these portals show up, teams are sent in to wipe out the monsters inside. Taking care of a rift can make you a lot of money, but the danger is off the charts. Most people know it's not worth risking everything, no matter how much cash is on the line. The man explains that he used to work on a team that went into rifts to handle whatever was inside. But after one important teammate died, everything started falling apart. The team couldn't handle it, and eventually they broke up for good. Most schools make their students clear rifts, but Don stands out from the rest. He's not like everyone else, so he gives a heads up, telling him to really think it through. The principal lets Joe know there are still other schools he can try for, so he doesn't have to put himself in danger. He'd already decided what he wanted to do, and he was set on joining Dawn. The big guy just grins, looking like he's got everything figured out. He seems pretty confident, almost as if he's certain he'll level up and do even better next time. Shen slung his arm over his friend's shoulder, all casual and confident, making it clear he believed they'd all get stronger as a team. With that kind of energy, taking on the rift didn't seem like such a big deal anymore. The guy suddenly spots the deadline. Only 10 days left. Usually he'd have around 6 months to get things done, so seeing that short time makes him break out in a cold sweat. The main guy lets everyone know he needs to get ready and can't help the class rep with training right now. The rest of the group doesn't seem too bothered. They just let him know they'll figure things out on their own. He gets back to his apartment and grabs a notebook, jotting down all the stuff he needs to remember. Right then, the demon book shows up out of nowhere and lifts the crystal, making it hover right in front of itself. He reached out his arm. The crystal glowed as soon as it made contact, back. He reached out, letting whatever it was sink into him. The black crystal hit the ground and broke apart. The sudden jolt made his heart race, pounding so hard it felt like it might jump out of his chest. She felt crushed when she found out he planned to trade the crystal for cash. Just shrugged it off, telling him to forget about it since the crystal was worthless now. Changing the subject, asked how things went at the school. He lets everyone know he got into Dawn Academy, which is basically the best spot if you want to make some cash and level up your skills. The catch, he'll have to go into rifts and take on whatever's inside. The demon book explains that rifts aren't something to freak out about. It turns out star energy actually comes from those rifts in the first place. The hero decides to switch things up and brings up the idea of a reward, since one of his wishes already came true. Doesn't look too happy about it, kind of annoyed that the hero's treating him like some sort of wish-granting machine. He decides to help out, knowing the rifts are connected to what he wants deep down. He lets Joe know he'll just have to tough it out for now and moves on. Dark energy shoots his way. The hero steps forward and lets the dark energy sink into him. It's intense, almost like getting hit with a wave he wasn't ready for, but he stands his ground. As the aura settles inside, he can feel its power running through him, making his heart pound a little faster. He clenches his fists, trying to get used to this strange new force that's now a part of him. The system pops up on his screen, letting him know that he just unlocked a new ability called Divine Creation. His whole body starts to change as the power takes over. He pushes through the pain and finally hits level 6. Once everything finished, the guy looked around, trying to figure out what just went down. The system let him know that he could now make anything he wanted, as long as he used his own energy. Explains that this power used to be his buddy S, and it's not just any power, it can actually make anything real. All the rewards they got before seem small now because this one is on a whole new level. He thinks for a second, trying to figure out if this is just another trick to get stronger, but isn't having it and basically lets him know that levels aren't the only thing that matter. The demon went on to tell Joe that levels only really change a person's basic strength and body, nothing more. What actually matters is the first awakening at D rank. That's what decides how someone's life will turn out. That's the real reason the demon gave Joe this skill, to make sure he didn't end up with some useless ability when it really counted. Right then, it sinks in for him that Chin also awakened with a special power, and regular fighting skills don't really measure up to that. He finally gets that heading into a rift isn't just about being strong. There's a lot more to it than just throwing punches. Explains that how strong the skill is really just comes down to what's going on in the user's head, and he encourages him to give it a shot and see what happens. Sue noticed something was different after the remodeling. The star energy he used to sense just wasn't there anymore. Even the system panel had changed. It looked more like a video game screen now. He checks out his stats and starts thinking if there might be a shop or something like that, but nothing pops up, which lets him down. The door wouldn't budge. He tried the handle again, hoping it was just stuck, but no luck. Locked. That meant whatever was inside was off limits, at least for now. He looked around, wondering if anyone else had noticed, but the hallway was empty. For a second, he just stood there, unsure what to do next. There are still a lot of features he can't use yet. He has to level up first before unlocking them. He opens up the level up screen and sees a bunch of side missions pop up. But when he looks at his soul points, they're way too low to actually start any of them. Keeps getting impatient, wondering why Joe's taking forever. Joe knows he can't just jump into the rift right now. He needs to get stronger first if he wants to level up and actually survive in there. The demon book isn't impressed with the hero so far. It seems kind of annoyed, acting like it expected more from him and is now just disappointed. Right when Joe thought things were settling down, a fresh system panel flashed up in front of him. It let him know that someone had just finished another wish. His body starts to glow, and he realizes he's just unlocked a new reward, Mage Armor. The gear is pretty special. When he needs it, armor shows up around his body and protects him from getting hit. He gets pretty excited, knowing his defense just got a lot better and his strength went up too. Gets a bit emotional, wiping at his eyes because he used up everything he had left. Still, he gives Joe a look that says it's all on him now, hoping he'll keep pushing forward. The next day, the principal notices heading out earlier than usual and wants to know the reason. Tells him that even though the trip isn't far, he wants to get there early. He figures it's better to be prepared and have some extra time instead of rushing at the last minute. He gives the principal a note, wanting him to take it to his sister at the hospital and look after her. The man tells him he should handle it on his own, but our guy tries to explain that things aren't so simple. He's got stuff going on and just can't go see her at the moment. The principal decides not to push for more details and just goes along with the plan. The group doesn't make a big deal out of it, but they all hope things go well for Joe as he heads out. He gives a quick wave and heads out, focused on where he needs to go. At the airport, the place was busy as usual. Guys were were dragging their luggage, checking their phones, and looking for their gates. Some people looked tired, others seemed excited, and a few just wanted to get their flights over with. The buzz of announcements and rolling suitcases filled the air, making it clear that everyone had somewhere to be. The receptionist looks at him, confused about why he's asking for a visa and a flight ticket to the city's mid-level area. He explains that he's been accepted somewhere, but she thinks it's weird since school's still out for summer. She wanted to see some proof, so he gave her Dawn Academy's card. She spots it and her eyes get big. It hits her that she's never come across anything like this before, not once in all the time she's been at this job. He looks at the guy, not sure what to think, while the other dude just stands there, clearly lost and not understanding what's going on. He wonders if she wants the admission letter too, but she's already shaking her head, saying sorry and letting him know the card is plenty. She can't believe he just walks right in without a ticket. Turns out, guys like him only have to bother with a ticket when they're heading back. Some time passed. Joe's kicked back in his first-class seat, staring out the window and thinking about how sweet this all is. He can't help but wonder if Don gets to do this kind of stuff all the time. He glanced out the window, watching the world outside move by. He sits back in his seat, thinking about Dawn Academy and what it's going to be like. He's really hoping it turns out as good as he imagined. With those thoughts in his head, he tries to relax and make the most of the flight. When he finally gets to Academy, the place is way quieter than he expected. It throws him off a little, like something isn't quite right. He walks over to the front desk to sign up. When the receptionist realizes it's Joe, she pauses for a moment, clearly surprised. She tries to keep her cool, but it's obvious she recognizes him right away. He quickly offered to take him to school, mentioning that someone was actually waiting for him. The guy was caught off guard. He never thought anyone would bother to wait around just for him. The reception was buzzing with people. Everyone was scattered around, chatting in small groups, grabbing snacks from the tables and checking their phones. The music was just loud enough to keep the energy up, but not so loud that anyone had to shout. Some of the guys were hanging out near the back, joking around and trying not to look too awkward. Even though it was supposed to be a formal event, no one seemed too bothered by the dress code. Hoodies and sneakers were everywhere. It felt casual, almost like a school event, and everyone was just trying to have a good time. She walks ahead, guiding him through the quiet park until they stop in front of an old stone monument. He was told to tap his card on the machine, even though he didn't really get what was going on. Joe goes along with what he was told to do. Suddenly, everything goes dark for him. One moment he's standing there, and the next, it's like someone hit a switch. He's somewhere completely different. His mind races, trying to figure out what just happened. Everything around him feels off, like he's in a place he's never seen before. His heart pounds as he tries to take it all in, unsure of what's coming next. One moment they're standing there, and the next, they're suddenly on the academy grounds. He doesn't know what to say. All he can do is stand there, frozen, trying to process everything that just happened. Not long after, the receptionist stepped into the room. He walks over and finally meets the person who's been waiting for him. Anne stood out in the crowd with her long white hair. She had this calm vibe that made people glance her way. Even just walking by, she grabbed attention without even trying. She can't help but think about whether he still remembers her. He nods, kind of embarrassed, and thinks about how he's wanted to thank her for a while now. But then it hits him. She's actually his senior, which he totally didn't expect. After the receptionist heads out, Joe can't help but notice how excited En looks to see him. He's about to walk over, trying to figure out what's up. Ming moves in and stands right in front of him, stopping him from going any further. Linen frowned, clearly not happy with how was acting. He looked at, making it obvious that he expected better, especially since they had someone over. Linen wanted to show some respect to their guest. En wanted to talk, but Joe wasn't really in the mood to hang around. He said he didn't have much time and tried to keep things brief. She decided to make him an offer to join her guild, putting 30 million on the table as the reward. When Joe hears the price, he can't believe it. His jaw almost drops, and he stands there for a second, trying to process what he just heard. It's way more than he expected, and he starts thinking about how much cash he actually has on him. Starts to question if En is thinking straight. He watches her and can't believe the things she's saying about the main guy, almost like she's just making stuff up at this point. Anne glared over at him, annoyed that he was acting like he was suddenly in charge. She clearly wasn't impressed with him trying to call the shots. He's sweating and stumbling over his words, trying to explain himself. Deep down, he just doesn't get why she's sticking up for him. Anne looks back at him and lets him know this is the most she can give. Joe isn't sure what to do. He's got this offer in front of him, but in the back of his mind, he keeps thinking about his own skills. He's only an E rank, nothing special, and he wonders if that's really enough. Right as he's about to speak up, a loud announcement interrupts, telling all the new students to head over to the assembly hall. Linen suggests he should take some time to think it over, since the offer is probably a lot to take in all at once. He nodded, showing her that he'd think about what she said. As they headed to the assembly hall together, she walked beside him, making sure he got there all right. Everyone was gathered in the assembly hall. The air felt heavy, and people shifted in their seats, waiting to see what would happen next. There's this boy with blonde hair, who pretty much thinks he's better than everyone else. He sits right next to the guy, making it obvious how different they look. The boy isn't interested in En for the right reasons. He wants to use her, hoping that marrying her will make his family more powerful. The orientation kicks off. Hui, the instructor, steps up to lead the group. He steps up and says who he is, then lets them know they did a good job getting into. He thinks they're all really smart, but he also lets them know they're still just new guys on the team. He lets them know that something different is coming up soon, the Fisher. It's not like anything they've dealt with before. In the Fisher, oracles are the ones doing the hunting, but at any moment, fate can turn things around, and suddenly, they could be the ones in danger. Regular weapons don't work there at all. Only people with serious core strength and special weapons made from Fisher materials stand a chance. That's why Academy gathers the best oracles they can find, building a strong defense squad just for dealing with Fishers. Hui points the guys toward the library, letting them know that's where they can dig up more info. He headed over to the training hall, where they ran combat simulations. Everyone gets to set up their own schedules, but he doesn't let anyone forget how things work. If you want to stick around, you've got to keep up and get better. If not, you'll get left behind. He looked at them and noticed they weren't scared at all. That's when he knew the first test went well. After finishing the task, every student gets a skill stone as a reward. There's a crystal that gives people the power to take in a combat skill for themselves. This one has Wise Eye in it. He's got this skill that lets him pick up on Fisher script and understand it right away, without even trying. The instructor let everyone know there would be 2 more tests. The first one was an entrance test, and for that, they had to take down a low-rank Fisher. There was another rule. Everyone had to hit D rank and unlock their potential in just 6 months. As soon as the announcement dropped, a few students started freaking out. Some guys could finally chill out now that they knew how to get to DRAM. Could tell everyone was uneasy, so he calmly let them know that using supplements would make things move along faster. He grabs his phone and starts dialing the seniors, knowing it's time to get them involved. The hall goes quiet. Anne walks up, turning heads with how she looks and the kind of energy she gives off. The instructor let the students know that there would be there to help out during the freshman assessment. After that, the instructor started guiding everyone, making sure they each picked a mentor from the older students. Nobody in the room expected to see N standing there. The students just stared, eyes wide, some frozen in place like their brains needed a second to catch up. A few mouths hung open, as if they were trying to figure out if this was real or some weird prank. The whole vibe in the room shifted, everyone caught off guard by N's sudden appearance. He was next in line to lead the guild. One of the students suddenly stood up, hoping to get picked. She made it clear she wanted to be noticed, even saying she's the whole reason he signed up for the academy in the first place. N shakes her head and lets the student know he's not what she's looking for. She's only interested in people with magic skills, but this guy is all about strength. There was another guy who decided to pick up magic, even though he was already pretty strong and skilled. He did it just for her, wanting to impress her and maybe get closer to her. His dedication was obvious, and everyone could tell he was willing to put in the work just for her sake. She rejects him too. As more guys try their luck, she keeps saying no, clearly not impressed easily. The instructor's patience is running out. He crosses his arms and sighs, his face showing he's getting fed up. The group can sense it, and everyone goes a little quieter, hoping they're not the reason he's annoyed. He tells her she should at least pick one freshman. She let her know that if she didn't listen, things could get worse. She'll end up getting paired with whoever's left at the end. In the middle of the group, there's a guy who stands out with his blonde hair. He doesn't look nervous at all. Instead, he watches everything around him like he's got things under control. He was sure he'd end up being picked, whether N wanted it or things just worked out that way. Either way, it would work out for him. Jo gets up right after him. She wanted him to take her on as his student. Nobody saw it coming when she said yes, and suddenly the whole hall went quiet. When she nods, everyone in the room just freezes. No one moves or says anything, like they're all trying to figure out what just happened. The air feels heavy, and even the guys who never seem to care about anything are caught off guard. Later, he found himself at the mission hall, starts second-guessing herself. She can't figure out why she picked this guy, or why she threw out such a big offer when he's still pretty new to all this. It doesn't really add up in her head, and she's left thinking about whether she made the right call. Linen just says she has her own reasons for what she's doing. She doesn't go into details, and it's clear she wants to keep it to herself. He decided to keep his answer to himself until the test was over. She brought in the group that would be handling his assessment, letting him see who he'd be dealing with soon. Han, who's in charge of watching over things, stays out of it unless someone's life is seriously at risk. If she steps in for any other reason, the whole thing gets marked as a failure. Wei steps in to help out, making sure everyone gets patched up and ready to go again. Hangs back from the front lines, focusing on targets from a distance. He's the guy who always has everyone's backs, picking off enemies before they even get close. Lee leads the team, taking charge of their positions and deciding what moves they should make next. Notices that the guy doesn't have anything in his hands. He starts starts thinking maybe the guy unlocked some kind of hidden power or something, but the hero just shakes his head, letting him know that's not the case. When he heard that, he couldn't help but wonder how the academy even accepted him in the first place. The thought left him unsettled, and he started to question everything, unsure about where he really stood. There wasn't much use in complaining at this point, so they just stuck close to him and kept their guard up. Wei wanted to stick nearby just to be safe, but wasn't having it. He was sure of himself, saying he could handle things because he'd been in fights before. She felt a little annoyed by how sure of himself he was, and his crew got the signal and made their way over to room 1, where Fisher was waiting for them. The fissure could be opened using a piece from the world tree. Right when the crack splits open, he senses a heavy atmosphere settling in around him. He really wanted to find the key so he could level up. They find themselves inside a cave. Right away, a group of shadow demons. The wolves pick up their scent right away, thanks to their strong noses. And Joe, sorry, but there is no script text provided to rewrite. Please share the script you'd like me to edit. The group focused hard, doing everything they could to bring them down. Wei spots his teammates hurt and doesn't waste a second. He rushes over, already getting his gear ready to patch them up. She didn't notice the creature creeping up right behind her.
Lately, I've had a strong addiction to watching manhwa and manga recap videos. Every single day, I find myself binging one after another, losing hours and days doing absolutely nothing productive. And honestly, it's getting out of hand. So, maybe we can make these viral videos too. I mean, look at the views, the growth, the community these creators are building. It looks simple, right? But that's a trap. You go down this endless rabbit hole, spending money, losing sleep, hiring editors and writers from Fiverr and Upwork, and still feel like you've been robbed. Because don't forget how emotional the YouTube algorithm can be with making videos go viral. It's unpredictable, especially when the market's saturated, competition's relentless, and somehow other creators are dropping 10-hour videos daily while you're stuck trying to finish one. That's when I realized something had to change. So, I built the solution, the Webtoon Narrative Suite, a complete one-click system that handles everything from cropping, script narration, text-to-speech, image processing, and full video generation in one smooth process. Save money, reduce hours of work, and have a tool that only gives you straight results. Click on the link down below and experience it for yourself. And if you want even more tools to supercharge your YouTube recap journey, visit my Ko-Fi and Patreon pages where I drop weekly new tools designed to keep you ahead as AI continues to steal our jobs. So tap in now before you get left behind.